jump right in his head. They found who they need. That's a big shot down. He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizay's not here, but what was that? It's a pentakill. Go 1-for-1 into Schön. Fire gets slammed into the wall. The action goes to Olaf. There's the access shot. And he gets the lumping down. Yeah, point. Tries he might release the temperactive. Doesn't even want 5 seconds. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the LCO. It is week number 5, day number 3. This time, I've got not a new face, but a different face joining me on this couch. What's up, Rusty?
Not much, man. I've been driving all day. I'm actually very excited to sit down for a little bit and actually talk about some League of Legends. I'm so done with driving.
And of course, the other two, Skimmy, who's always on that couch. It's a shame that we never get to sit together.
Look,
but
mate, this couch is elite, and I'm joined by another elite member in Max.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the good side of the studio, bro.
We did have a wardrobe emergency earlier on, but we got that crisis averted.
Yep.
Shout out Rusty for plugging up.
Max looking good, no reason why.
So yeah,
it's a nice jumper as well.
it is a very nice jumper, very comfortable. Yep.
So, big games on today. But before we get anywhere else, let's watch what happened yesterday.
Break the base here.
Still got what they came for. They've managed to find that mid inhibitor as a result. Can they disengage away for free is the question. Cyclone knocking up the entire team, and Bev survives. Raze continues. There's the triple kill. This is why he's going crazy. There's the quad. And can we get a pentakill? Unbelievable. Ace upon ace into perfect gameplay. Penta's on the weekly here in the LCO. And I'm not losing to the game itself right now. Tron is going to be whistled down. He's not doing anything. He turns and burns. He looks for Aladoric, instantly flashing into the red buff pit. He might be able to get Aladoric, but is that who you want? He's still alive. In goes Bulldog. Madness someone to 2. He's going to fall on down. He survives for as long as he can. But it's all coming up Chiefs right now. All going the way of the blue team. As they take down 4, they don't lose anyone. Tron tries to snipe something, but he couldn't even get to support. Oh, yeah, this collapse is devastating right now. So stuck, nowhere to go, nowhere to run. Mayfun locked in place. There's no one low enough to get a kill. They're toying with him. They make sure Lemus gets the kill. The fight continues though, despite them looking to try and defend their base. We're now getting juked by the observers as to which fight is more important. Out goes the Wish, keep them topped up and healthy. Deny the reset, deny Mayfun. He's already hit the ultimate, he cannot find the kill. Voice.
Ultimate maybe, but he's the one locked down.
Glacial Prison into a Blitzcrank hook. Shinky in trouble, drops the ult and dies at the same time. Hostile Takeover knocks up the entire team. The Berserk was huge. Wasn't enough to get any kills, Joe. There we go, shove it back. As Fido finds himself one. He gets taken down.
So, there was yesterday. We had the chance to see the two teams who are struggling at the bottom of the ladder right now in 7th and 8th to try and break their way back into that top 6, which is so essential for qualifying for playoffs. And unfortunately, both the teams did go 0-2. Does not mean they're out of a chance of qualification, and today is going to add so much more to the stakes.
Yeah, 2 big games coming up today as well, but first and foremost, we look at those standings before we see the matches on today. Grand Zero Kanga, like you're highlighting, still going to be towards the bottom of the table. And at the top of the table, yeah. All right, explain this one to me, Max.
Oh no, because I was going to say, I didn't think I'd qualify for playoffs yet.
Yeah.
We need to go juked by production, didn't we?
We got hard juke, but the top of the table, still Bliss and Chiefs. We saw them yesterday with 2 pretty clean 2-0s overall. Both teams, I think, clean cut in game number 1. Tried a little bit more in game number 2, got a bit more aggressive, but we're still strutting their stuff at the top of the table.
And on top of that as well, Grand Zero and Kanga Esports struggling to get through, but again, they have a chance to qualify next week when they play again. Today's games, though, they will decide how hard it is for Grand Zero and Kanga to break through. Vertex versus Pentanet are 2 teams in 5th and 6th place, which are now currently denying our bottom 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean, a phenomenal matchup to start off this day. I mean, the fact that these 2 teams with such polar opposite histories, years of experience and play styles and basically everything find themselves in a dead equal spot like this. PGG yet to find a win. I'm really hoping this is the first of many steps towards that very first victory for me.
And the second game, taking a look at 2 teams in that sort of upper echelon that are contesting. We've heard it from Mammoth that they said anything less than first is a disappointment. Currently, not going to be able to get there in the standings in the regular season, but at the end of the day, you have to beat everyone in playoffs anyway. So a nice preview of what we're going to see to come later in the season.
And things are heating up today. Rusty, which match do you think your eyes are pointed towards the most?
I'm looking towards the second series for average skill, but the first one I think super exciting because based on Pentanet's performance, right, the 2-0 could put them up in the standings, tie them with teams that are going to be competing in the second one. So we have ourselves a little race for the top 4 position today. It's very, very good day for League of Legends.
Well, before we ready, set, go, there's still some time left. And that means we've got the LCO Champion Conundrum!
Very good.
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could read you? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
You think this works?
Oh, what's it going?
Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Does it?
I've just popped it on top.
Doesn't work.
Oh, actually committing, strapping
Oh,
it
it's
through.
working.
yeah.
It's working.
I can't see now.
Yeah, boys are on. Hair's in shambles, but
Oh,
we're
man.
strapped.
Oh, man. So,
I'm
this
failing
is my
epically.
first time doing the conundrum, but based off the headbands, we're doing heads up. So, we changed the rules today because, of course, everyone seems to be too good at heads up, whether we do players or champions.
Feeling real cute, that's all.
Bro, I cannot get this. I am very
Really
slow.
struggling.
Do you want me to do it at the back for you?
Yeah, you guys
Give
got
my
time.
Do you want to
Let
slide
Oscar
slide it
explain the
through?
rules.
Max
You
is
guys
slide it
Max is
through,
about to
like,
take me to
slide it
prom.
through.
please, what are we doing?
Headset.
So-
That's the one.
LCO Champion Conundrum.
There you go.
We're playing heads up and we're guessing champions today. But because
Beautiful.
everyone
There you
seems
go.
to be
Thank
so
you so
good
much.
at guessing which champion they are, we're limiting how many questions you can ask to 5. So 5 questions to guess what champion you have, and 5 questions to narrow it down, and then 3 guesses to see if you can lock down the champion. That's about it.
That's tough.
It is tough.
That's tough.
It
I
is
think
very
we
tough.
should
You're
start
a
with
bit
Max.
slanted, mate.
Is it?
Yeah, you got your 90s rapper angle. Oh, good now, you straightened it.
I reckon it's alright.
No,
I
it's
reckon
it could have been a
yeah.
vibe.
Who's picking? Who wants to
Skimmy,
go?
you're next to Max. Go on.
Alright,
Okay,
Skimmy.
so-
Skimmy's gonna get revenge for the time I gave him bloody Velcos.
So I'm running a champion, just to clarify.
just a
Yeah,
champion.
yeah. And it's
Okay.
5.
Oh, can we write it with
yeah,
a
write it with a
marker?
marker.
We absolutely
I have
can.
a marker. I have
Oh, you
a
got a
marker.
marker?
Don't worry.
We've got markers for days. No,
Um,
use a blue pen. Make it impossible to see.
Okay.
Dude, do you guys remember how well someone did last time? Like, was anyone popping off on guessing champions?
Oh, we've had weeks where it was really, for some reason, easy, and we've had weeks like the Velcos one with guesses where it was like we just could never get them. So
Have we kind of started to metagame it?
Okay.
We've gone to a... Okay.
We got it?
Okay.
Yep. You got
Okay.
a champion.
5
Alright.
questions, Max.
Yeah,
5
this
questions.
is
that
tough.
all.
You really got to make sure every question counts. So I'm
You
going to
do.
start with, am I ranged?
no.
No.
Melee champ. Yeah. Do I use mana?
Do they use mana?
This is not a hard
Why
question.
can't I can't remember. I'm having a mind blank.
I don't think so.
I'm having a mind blank.
No.
Skibby.
This happens
No,
every
the answer
time.
is the answer is no. The answer is no.
So
The answer is
I
no.
don't use mana.
We're stuck. Oh,
I'm melee, I don't use
That's
mana.
okay. Yep. Okay.
Am I a top laner?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
That's 3, bro. That's 3.
Top laner, melee, doesn't use mana.
Yeah.
Am I male?
No.
No.
Oh gosh.
Last question.
Oh gosh.
You've done really well with those
These
four.
are really
though.
good questions.
Male, melee, doesn't use mana. Top laner.
Don't forget, if you need
Not
to
a
just...
male.
Okay,
Not
Have
a
I-
male.
Not a
Not a
male.
male.
Not a male. Not a male.
Not
a
Okay.
male.
Have I been played in LCO this split?
No.
No. That's it.
No.
Okay. So my guesses are going to be first Riven.
Oh, you got it.
Yep.
There we
Well
go.
done.
Congratulations.
Well
That was a good one.
done.
Hey,
Good one.
hey, you
Hey,
know me.
hey,
Hey, you know
hey.
me.
Now,
I
for
got you,
real,
bro.
that was
Shout out.
impressive.
I
That was
got you.
impressive.
That was a good one. All right, should we do Skim Dog?
Yep.
Skim
You know,
Dog
the
next.
thing about this game
Can
is
someone else pick? I feel like I really
Yeah, yeah.
sold him out last time, so I want someone else to get the blame.
What happened with the Velcos incident?
Well, essentially, yeah, my questions gave me more questions that
Yeah.
left me with more questions.
It's one of those
and-
things where like, maybe, could be,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Am
at
I human?
times.
Maybe.
Oh, I see a pen.
Have I been
It's joined
no.
you.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to chuck
I'll
this
put
on
it
him?
in. I'll put it in. Yeah.
Not looking, not looking.
Chat. Oh yeah, this is a good one.
Okay.
By the way, as well, if it's not clear, we
Okay.
can't see ourselves on the monitor.
We do, yeah. That's
I kind of like your line of
completely blocked
questioning.
out.
I think that was pretty spot on for 5.
Yeah.
To be quite frank. So I'm gonna start off in the same fashion. Am I ranged?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
I really made sure it was ranged just because I knew he would ask the same question.
Yep.
Am I ranged? Okay. Have I been played in the LCO?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, you have.
Okay. Am I a bot laner?
No.
Mm-mm.
That's
three.
3 questions.
That's 3.
That really.
If you miss one, it becomes really
Yeah.
tough.
that really kind of screwed me,
Yeah.
didn't it? Okay.
If you don't get the lane, it's just in shambles.
Yeah, I am kind of stumped now. Okay, so range champion that has been played, that isn't a bot laner. I'm all in. Okay, has it been played in mid lane?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Am I a male?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
that's it, you got
that's my three
my
That's your
guesses.
five.
your
That's
five.
your 5.
Ranged. Am I Azir?
No. Not the golden chicken. And this is where it gets tough.
Very difficult.
5 questions is hard.
I mean, Max managed to get it, but
I lucked out though. To be fair,
Damn.
The mana
Okay.
question.
the
was
mana
goated.
question.
The
Really
mana
yeah.
question was actually impressive. Yeah. No, you're much better at this game than I am. Okay, so it's not Azir. It's a male range champion in the mid lane.
if you get to your third guess, I'll give you a special hint. I think that's fair.
Other champions. You get put on the spot and you just completely forget.
Yeah, everything just leaves
Actually,
your
I
brain.
have a
It's
good
like
hint
caster
that-
brain.
It
Yeah, you
really
have-
is caster brain.
Okay.
It's that couch. Caster brain affects that couch. That specific spot.
Do you feel like your IQ's gone up on
I
this
do
guess?
feel very,
bit, yeah.
very dumb right now. All that's coming to mind are all the-
Appropriate given the band you've got, mate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can think of all the female champions, all the
Uh,
other champs.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds to get.
Okay,
this
no, I'm
next guess.
stumped. I'm stumped.
Okay, give him the special clue, Rusty.
You feature in the Netflix series Arcane.
Oh my god, that's such a sell.
No, it's not.
Oh, you're right. Because
It's not a cell.
There's I guess.
Yeah.
heaps of them.
Am I Jace?
No.
Oh,
One more
yeah.
guess.
That's
One
what
more
I'm
guess.
saying. It's not a cell.
There's-
Okay.
there's still
Even
more.
this one's like a 50.
Last
No,
one.
There's more.
There's more.
Oh
There's
no.
more.
Am I Victor?
Yes,
Yes.
you got it. Okay.
Yes. I was really hoping it'd go Jace first,
And
and,
then
then
Heimerdinger.
we'd go Victor. Yeah.
Was it so? Jace, Victor, Heimerdinger. That's it.
I was thinking Echo, but he's not ranged, so.
All I had in my
Yeah.
mind was like Silas, Zoe, Ari, LeBlanc,
Yeah.
like all the
Mm.
AP female champions. I was just like,
You
oh,
got chirp effect.
we're.
All right. Do we keep our headbands
What's
on
that?
after the conundrum? By the
Yes,
way?
of course, of course.
Okay, of course. I was like my little cat is. Anyways, hey, I
feel
came
real
up with this
cute.
from the fans today, so I'm really excited to see it. And this one, a personal favorite of mine. I would like to ask everybody, what do you think would be the best champion ability to have in real life? Use hashtag LCO to let us know. And let's just start with the couch.
My one. I'll
yeah.
go for Rise's ultimate, Realm
Yep.
Walk, because save yourself a bunch of time, be anywhere, anytime. You're never late for work. You can go travel the world at any expense, no worries. Essentially, I suppose what Traveler's working towards, right, with us hopping in rockets instead of trains, instead of airplanes, soon be able to get from like one side of the globe to another in like an hour. So basically, be along those lines.
You can move as well, right? You could bring all your furniture with you. And
That's
be like,
it.
And
bang,
the
bang.
homies can come along.
You just be
Yeah,
like,
that's
all right,
what I'm
boys,
saying.
let's
Yeah.
squad up. We're going to Ibiza.
Yeah,
Bang.
true.
Okay, we got a couple from the fans as well, which might help us cook up with some more ideas. We've got Gangplank W for sure, eat an orange and say goodbye to any illness. That's quite good. And it
fair.
depends what you
That
think of an
is
illness
good.
as, right?
That
Is it
is
just
good.
a debuff? Is like getting older debuff? Are you immortal?
Well, it'd
with
be like a
Gangplank
broken
W?
leg, right? The way Gangplank ult works, like you can remove yourself from the death realm. So surely you can, like, if you have a broken leg, you just eat an orange and you're like, oh, I'm good to go.
That's
Nice.
A very good
Gangplank
point.
Actually,
ult.
a very good one.
W,
That's a
sorry.
great call.
goated.
Really solid. Really solid. Fizz's playful tricks that you can dodge your emotions without being hit.
You can dodge everything, mate. The emotions are just a little added bonus on top of that one. Think of all the things you can dodge there.
Fizz's playful tricks has to be one of the best abilities.
Also,
in
the ability to stand on a pole like that to dodge everything, pretty impressive.
You'd
Like,
have
you don't
mad
just
abs.
swerve those emotions. You stand on top of a pole to
Yeah.
swerve them, yeah.
All right, one more to go as well.
Of course.
Sticks,
Of course, it's an
please.
80 carry player.
Sticks,
It makes sense.
please.
Would you use Ari-chan?
I really thought he would say, like, Ezreal E or something,
You'd
knowing
think
that
so.
it sticks, but nah.
Um,
Ari Charm.
Okay,
Poor
from the
soul.
fans, if you've got
You
some more
poor
ideas
soul.
and you're cooking it up, don't forget hashtag LCO. But in the meantime, we do have the Vertex roster to look at to start with. And guess what? Hold on. Wow. Rusty, what the...
Yeah, we've changed over 2 roles from Vertex. So coming into today's games, we've got Gudo returning from the retirement village, along with a lot of different players, including Rosie, who is in this team, and Suman, who also was a competitor in the LCO and has been gone for a while, and is once again making his return. So I think this is a really exciting change for Vertex, and we'll get into this in a lot of detail before the series starts. But I think initial takes from all of us is like, this is positive.
And I think this could be, you know, such a great time for them to come in, especially given the fact that Tomasino had the series of his life, dropping the most kills in a single game. What is it? 15 on the Jace. Was the MVP of that series, came into his own, really showcased why he deserves to be in this position. So to bring in more experience to complement what Rosie already brings to that team, I think is a massive boon. And, you know, given the fact they've already got themselves in such a great spot to potentially make it in playoffs for their very first split, Look, really excited to see how they can perform today.
But it does raise a few questions, like you mentioned, coming in at this time, right? Chirp obviously was a standout performer for me, at least, and as a rookie, was developing week on week. So to me, this is a win now change. We've said, okay, we're going to bring in to give ourselves the best chance of making a deep run in the playoffs.
Yep.
Perhaps continuing that two-tiered system where you're still developing those other players whilst these two come in now.
We also saw moments of struggle from Chirp, maybe that lack of confidence, sort of nerves on stage. A team with a lot more experience, so who they are facing up against, matched with them on the scoreboard, by the way, is Pentanet.
I mean, Pentanet definitely a team that we have a microscope on, to say the least, right? A team that hasn't got a 2-0 victory so far yet in the LCO, but a roster that has so much experience. They have championship players here everywhere as well, yet they still can't find that 2-0. So, I mean, it's a daunting task for any team to go up against. Vertex going to have no easy task here themselves, but for the side of Pentanet.gg, a lot of internal soul searching to be seen from this squad. They need to really find themselves first.
And plain and simple, we didn't think this team would be here at the end of the split. They don't think they deserve that. You can tell them in every single interview that, hey, we think we're better. And on paper, they certainly are. We talked about how many titles they've got, how many years of experience they have. So to me, if there's any time that you need to iron out your issues, it is against the team you're tied in the standings with, contesting for a top 4 position.
And it's just wild to me, the fact that you're seeing on your screen right there, they're getting a pentakill into the Chiefs, they're beating them in 20 minutes, yet they're still only finding draws. Their first defeat was handed to them by Bliss, obviously, or arguably a second, tied first, strongest team in this league. It's hard to really, quantify who is first and second at the moment, but yeah. PGG going into this one, you say, would be the heavy favourites, but then you're confused based on all the sets they have and the position they share with Vertex right now.
And it's 2 pentakills, right, that they managed to pick up, which is the most. Has that team ever picked up 2 pentakills in LCO history in one split?
Oh,
no.
There's been a boatload of quadra kills. I think in the LCO there hasn't been 2
I think it went like Praetor, Cheon, then nothing for ages.
Yeah. But Violet and Praetor traded quads like daily.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah.
Damn, there you go, 2 pentakills, and they can't seem to...
That's the most Australian segment I've ever... Nah.
Now, if the inconsistency of PGG aside, Vertex, maybe they'd be able to find more consistency with their new roster coming up. So 2 new players, Suman and Gudo.
Yeah, so Suman, you can see now, has been playing since about 2016. Our memory of Suman has not changed in that entire time, right? Comes in as a Z player, comes back in again as like a Lysandra player. Had his longest stint competing, I think it was with Gravitas in that 2020 stint there, right? 9 months, consistent playing. Was like a Silas, a Kali, Ari type of player. Really did stick to those 3 champions. But he does seem to have that comfort, that consistency, that experience that's behind him. I think a stable force for Vertex can be extremely handy. And
the thing is, to me, is this is quite a distinct, different playing style to that of Chirp, right? Chirp loving those control mages. Just a quick stat for DPM, right? Chirp is averaging 730 DPM this split. Simen across his career, 430, right? So there's a big jump in the types of champions they play, in the way, style that they play. And to me, the question is, have Vertex been able to adapt? Do they know how to play with this assassin, explosive mid laner?
And I want to continue to kind of move into this mid lane change, because again, Chirp is someone who you just said is such a standout player, even though he had those moments where he crumbles under the pressure. How do you feel about the change itself? Because both of these players might be more experienced, but the positivity, especially of the mid lane change, still feels like it's up in the air for me.
Plain and simple, we're going to have to wait and see, right? I haven't seen Simen play competitively. We haven't seen him for a while now in our region, so what he's been playing, whether he is still that Akali player. But on the other hand, someone we've seen a bit more recently is Gudo, coming in, debuting on Mammoth, moving towards Direwolves and ending his sort of retirement, I guess you could say, on Order. But on Order, he definitely had that more facilitative role, playing for the solo lanes, playing stuff like the tanks and the engaged champions. So to me, it's a question of, will he continue that trend similar to Forever, or will he buck that trend and play something a bit more explosive like we know he can?
And again, as you mentioned, these guys actually do have a lot of experience under their belt. So I'd really like to see how much experience do Vertex and Pentanet have exclusively.
I mean, you can see it now, right? With the recent additions, they've got a combined 16 years of experience. Rosie's a lot of that, right, through the roster. And the original roster of Vertex without Gudo and Suman had a lot less experience than even this.
9.5 years without Rosie.
Yeah, so 5 of them gone completely. But if we're comparing that to their opponents, Pentanet, that's a slight difference.
Near triple.
That's a combined 10 years difference between them.
That's nearly, that's nearly retirement age in league terms, isn't it? 27 years old, suddenly the hands don't work anymore, do they?
30.
Yeah, hey, I'm not too far behind you, mate. I'll be right up there with you. That's why we're here.
That's true, actually. That is why we're here.
But yeah, it's just such an interesting comparison when you talk about the fact that the experience is so mismatched. The amount of titles, I think we looked at it before. Rosie winning his first title way back in 2015 for the Chiefs in OPL days. You compare that to the side of Pentanet. The only person on that roster that's not picked up a title will be Dongy. Everybody else, though, combined is about 10 to their name. So it's just phenomenal that the stats are so lopsided, yet we find ourselves in this moment.
Well, maybe we have more chance to ask PGG for some insight. Or I think we have an interview up on the line. There we go. My apologies. It is Vertex on the line. G'day, mate. How you going?
Hello, good, thank you.
Now, Rusty, I think you wanted to start us off here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, welcome back to Pro Play. Good. It's good to have you back, mate. It's been a little while. My first question for you is, with the integration to Vertex now, how long has it been that you've been with this roster, and how do you feel like you're integrating?
I think with the new roster, we've been played like just 1 week together, so we're not just fully ready. But the thing is, we're just aiming for the playoff. After that, we secure the playoff. We just try our best we can do. But even though we have a short time, but I think we have a lot of potential to compete.
And are there particular players within this roster that you are familiar with, right? Like joining Rosie and Dante, 2 players that have a bit of experience. Have you played with them or know of them at all before you joined?
Not really. I think only Dante, because I used to with him when I was in Dials. It was sad, but yeah, just pretty much that.
Okay.
And now that you've managed to jump onto Vertex, what do you feel like you personally are actually bringing to the team?
I think on jungle, if you haven't been experienced, like it values a lot because you can shot call or you gave him so much like. If you're playing League of Legends, there's like so much different scenario going on. So every single scenario you can have a like different option. So I know Forever used to be playing. He was like rookie, so I've been experienced more than him. So I think I can just put a lot of like situation option to him.
You talk a lot about shot calling, and now that you've come in, you can organize that better in the team. But this is right before playoffs, and even some of these games now may be important to you even making it to the playoffs. Do you feel like that adds a bit of pressure to your gameplay?
No, not really. Because if you look at the other team, like especially Chiefs, they still changed their jungle. Like 2 weeks ago, they used to play with the Cabby. Now they're playing with the Barbie. So I think they're struggling with the Shackle on jungle. So no big deal. Like we just need to focus on ourselves. That's it.
All right, awesome. Thanks for joining us, mate. And good luck with your game.
Thank you.
Oh, what a nice guy. Everyone I've been doing interviews with seems to just like, they have good energy and they come through. It's been solid improvement on some of the interviews I've seen in the past.
I'm just so excited to see Goodo back because for me, at least when he was in the rift with the likes of, we had Balkan and Arthur at the same time, we had this trifecta of like Korean Lee Sin, and they were the Exodia when it came to those champions. Also, when he came into the roster for Order, he was the jungler for Kisei, who we know obviously is impressive in his own right. So you're thinking, okay, do you view, see him in the same kind of vein where very explosive, very aggressive assassin kind of play? Is he going to look to try and say, once again, I can look to try and pocket you with these Wukongs or these Viegos or these like hard engaged tanks? Or does he look to try and reinvent himself coming into this new roster?
And this is the question for me, right? Because he did bring up experience. He said that was the main gap between him and Forever, was just the fact that he's been playing longer. When I look at this Vertex roster, especially with Goodo and Rosie in the roster, there's already a lot of experience. So to me, I do wonder about that mid lane pairing that's being brought in, whether it's just Goodo and Seum and having a lot of experience from solo queue together or just liking each other on a personal level. Because to me, it's a bit interesting that you'd sub out Chirp, who's one of your best performing players, sort of the star at this stage in the playoffs.
Yep.
Have you ever had experiences like that, Rusty, or maybe even you, Max, where you are playing games and you get a brand new addition to your roster? Does it shake things for the mix?
I mean, it shakes things every single time you get a new player in, right? Sometimes it's just a personality shift. That's all you need. Sometimes it could be like, Chirp could be a really good player, and we know Chirp is a really good player, but it could just be that he's quiet, right? And what they want is a mid laner that talks. Like, it could just be that simple. That could be what the team feels like they're missing, and then suddenly a human comes along and he's literally chirping. And so they choose him instead, right? It could be little details like that, or it could just be a personality shift. A lot can change with a single sub.
And you as well, you had personal experience interacting with Goodo. What kind of a player is he on the team?
He's the most humble, self-sacrificing guy in the world. Like he said he's vocal on the Rift, but he's always first to say, hey, that was my bad call, like I'll take that. And when you come and talk about personalities, right, it is that player who's very willing to sacrifice, and perhaps some of those other players who have gone for something and it hasn't worked, they feel the pressure's taken off them because there is Goodo behind them.
We've got another interview on the line. This time it's Chippy's. Maybe we get a chance to talk to him about his top lane experience. How's it going, man?
Going good, thanks, G.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear a little bit more from you personally, who you've been around in the league for a good while. And we had a chance to talk to players like BioPanther about this, but what are your ambitions for League of Legends? Are you looking to win Worlds? Are you looking to take away just the LCO? What do you want out of League?
I think anything less than our team making Worlds would be pretty disappointed. Like, our roster has a lot of good players, and obviously we've looked bad so far, but we are on the upswing, so Worlds is definitely the goal.
I want to ask you about this upswing as well, because it's very clear to all of us, Chippies, that there's a lot of inconsistency there with your boys at the moment. We've heard from a couple of other players, but I want your point of view on this. Like, what are you working on with this inconsistency? Like, how do you guys get to Worlds so that you don't feel like you failed?
I'd say the biggest thing is we're all on different pages. We don't have one like main shot caller, so everyone's trying to step up individually, and if we can find our run, we'll do well in playoffs. If we can't find it, we'll do badly, right? So hopefully someone takes that position.
I'm also curious, because you guys are the only team that do scrim the PCS. I've noticed a trend with them as well, right? Where the scrim culture for the teams that you'll be versing is very fast, like lots of fighting all the time. But on stage, it's not so much the case. Like, do you guys feel like that affects your stage games as well? Where, as you know, everyone just slows down, but scrims are so fast?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say most games, by 10 minutes, it's like a 5k gold lead for us or the enemy team. So we're not used to these O's really slow games. So that's why the split we've mixed in some O scrims. But O scrims, like, everyone plays really aggressive, but on stage they're all pussies. So we have to get used to playing the game without a big lead, basically.
Right. Well, speaking of O scrims as well, if you've had the chance to play against Vertex, or even from what you've seen on their stage games, what are your thoughts on Vertex as a team? Because they've managed to match you guys on your ladder with positioning, and they've just brought in 2 brand new players.
We haven't scrimmed them, so I don't have any thoughts on them, but it's pretty exciting Sweeman coming back. I think he's pretty good, but the rest of them I'm not really sure about, to be honest.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's all for today. Good luck with your game, and yeah.
Thanks, G.
All right, thanks, G. See ya.
Got him.
Hey,
Got him.
Thanks, got him to it.
Got it.
It's interesting he brings up Sweeman as well, because I feel like we focused a lot of energy talking about Goodo and then Sweeman in the mid lane, switching things around. It must be so weird for other teams to have to adjust to a change in the roster, because I just mentioned, yeah, okay, dude, there's a new guy on our team. Okay, that's kind of hard to integrate him. Yo, there's a new guy on their team. All the research we've done on their mid lane is kind of like...
Well, yes and no, because Seaman's been around for so long that people kind of have an idea of what he's playing. I know, looking at his OPGG before, he's still playing Akali as his most played. So I feel like some of these older players, and especially on PGG with the experience they have, will be somewhat familiar with him heading into this series.
We've also got our side select ready, and PGG, look, they always seem to switch it up, and they are going to go with red side again today.
Yeah, interestingly, PGG have only played 1 blue side game the entire split, which I found was absolutely crazy, and I think that it really speaks to their proclivity to get these counter picks towards the top lane. Even if Chippies isn't playing a carry, he's fine to like 5p and on.
Yeah, I was actually, part of my interview questions, like, just in case we had to go even further, was like, what's up with the Sion 5th pick, mate?
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? Like, you don't like tanks, but your team's making you play them, so why are you even red side, you know? But I think the value of that comp pick is something that I think they prioritize a lot, for sure.
Okay, well, as well, if you got some points to chat and you hop it down, there's the Dare fan vote just up there. Make sure you pop it in. Don't waste any time. And on top of that, too, we've all also managed to put our predictions today. And I actually think they're a little bit controversial within the group. I think yesterday we were all like split. We all had the same decisions. It was 2-0 Chiefs, 2-0 Bliss, even though it felt like it was pretty straightforward decision making. But today, I think we switched up what we thought we were going to see.
Looking real controversial at the moment.
Skimmy, how are you going to defend this 2-0? Huh?
Well, I looked at yours and I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the controversy.
There is controversy.
Okay.
Maybe it was just me. I was hyping myself.
So now it's your job to justify it, not our job.
Yeah.
You've done this to you.
Oh, pressure's on. No, I really just thought that, especially with the roster changes in Vertex, and Tomasino having one of the best games he's ever had on the LCO, their confidence boost, the potential that the team has. And I mentioned yesterday that Vertex is a team that's kind of close to my heart, as I've managed to watch them all grow throughout Amateur. So I guess maybe it's a bit of a personal bias, but also just I want to see how good this team can be.
I mean, this was a series that I was actually considering putting draw for. Not for just the meme of putting draw, but like Pensinet is so aggressively inconsistent. Like they're not just here and there making mistakes. Like Chiefs will go down 3k gold, but they'll pull it back. Like Pensinet is so inconsistent, they just spontaneously combust. So it's certainly possible that a team like Vertex on the back of a 2-0 with what we're saying is a roster upgrade could just take a game from them. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
No, it's definitely not. But to me, the reason I went for the 2-0 was just because of the lack of integration time I think that these two have had into the roster. Yes, I would say overall it's an upgrade, but you know, 1 week of scrims, it's not long at all to be able to get into a groove with your new team.
But then again, you mentioned about Schoenfire. He has a very inconsistent, as we mentioned, game where he goes hot and cold and hot and cold, and he's turning the heat up and then turning it down again, especially with his burst games, you said, Max.
Yeah, so an interesting stat here was I was just taking a look at the discrepancies between Game 1 and Game 2, because we talk about Schoenfire and PGG as a whole being inconsistent. These are just some KDAs from Game 1's versus Game 2. So we have a 1-5 performance in Game 1, 12-2, 0-9, 7-1, 1-8, 3-5. So hot and cold, yes, and this is really embodied in that jungle position.
So the only way to find out whether or not PGG can start off hot or cold is through the draft. So, boys, let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed there. Thank you very much, Quicksand and Rusty. Let's kick off our very first best of two of the night, as it is Vertex taking on Pentanet. Both these teams tied in the same position and looking to try and break that deadlock and find some distance. And I'm sure the rest of the teams looking to try and find themselves into the playoffs as well will be looking at this one very hotly and thinking, all right, what can we take away from this one, and can we get the result we're hoping for?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Vi first pick coming out is interesting to me. They have opted to ban the Desire, which is its key sort of weakness in the fact that you can't actually deal with it. Goodo, all smiles, saying, my first game back to competitive, I get to play Vi. What a fun experience for me.
He's having a great time there, isn't he? Absolutely. With the Ivan band away as well from the side of Vertex, making sure that Schoenfire won't be able to pick that one up anytime soon. Still, he showcased just how strong it could be. And it has not seen the day of light ever since. Aphelios going to come out straight away as a response here from Pentanet. We know that Violet is very good on that champion. And would they make it as easy as locking in a jungler in response? Ooh. They certainly do with a Kindred.
Yeah, Kindred definitely one of those champions that has a nice time into Vi, especially as the game goes on, right? Even if you aren't necessarily ahead, that Lamb's Respite going to provide so much value. As Chippy's looking absolutely jacked there on the camera.
Far out.
But this is a pick for Schoenfire. You know, we discussed him being hot and cold. This is a pick that if you get hot on, you can get really hot. You can absolutely take over the game with the marks. And as we look towards this third pick here, something like Emilio, something like a support that can buff up both Violet on this Aphelios and the Kindred at the same time would be incredibly valuable.
100%. We saw it before, already played by Kanga, and it just looks so great when one falls behind. At least you've got that dual threat to really try and carry you through in those major team fights. Assuming he gets his hands on the Ahri, we know that obviously in the past it was all about the Akali, the Ahri, the Sylas. No surprise this one comes out to play here, even with some of the bans being denied, but a lot more, you'd say, on par with the meta out, the triple bans, be it, you know, LeBlanc, Tristana, as well as the Nico. And right out the gates there, they're going to respond with a potential rail, which I know Rust is being very critical on, especially in a blind fashion, but I feel like, you know, if it works for them, we know that Appy's very good at it, you can just mechanically be better.
And here's the thing, right? You're picking it on 3, you have the opportunity to double ban, take away something like Emilio, maybe a Gragas or an Alistar, whatever you're particularly scared of here. So it's a nice situation that they've set up for in draft. I do like, on the side of Vertex, this Ahri and Vi combination, right? There's 2 new players coming in. There's not really any better of a synergy test than this Ahri and Vi to be able to dive that backline, find those crucial kills before the fight even starts, to really see how Seaman and Goodo are integrating into this roster.
Absolutely, in terms of making it easy for them and for the rest of the team to figure out, okay, what is the game plan? Well, just hit a charm.
Yep.
Or, you know, lock down somebody with an ultimate, and that is our go target. That is our kill target. The comms cannot be clearer than just that. So a great way to kick off their campaign here for sure. Let's see then what the bans are to try and protect that rel. They're going to start off with a Nautilus ban first of all, and as for Vertex, the considerations now surely go towards, okay, what can we make, you know, how can we make Tomasino's life easier? Well, the Olaf ban comes out.
Definitely a respect ban shown to Chippies there up in that top lane. You know, as a Vi, nothing feels worse than chucking your full rotation of abilities into someone who doesn't even get CC'd by any of them, and then you end up going down. So what's interesting to me is that PGG have gone for this rel and said, okay, instead of using the Enchanter route where we're playing really defensively and kiting back into this Ahri Vi, we're going to meet it head-to-head with aggression, and this is very PCS-esque of them, so to speak.
Certainly is. Gragas comes out as well, another champion that we've seen do such a great time into this matchup, right, with the body slam denying a whole bunch of it, and obviously the explosive cast to completely isolate, which really is a double ban, and when you consider it, given that the Kindred is there, you remove them out of the ultimate, and suddenly half of your champions are invalid.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the league are scared of playing the Rel into Gragas matchup after Arkia picked it and made it to seem incredibly unplayable. I would expect PGG to look towards mid here. We know Dongi has a bit of a unique champion pool, but something like an Annie, something that can offer some guaranteed CC to lock down this mobile Ahri and move with that Kindred. That being said, though, We've got a Jax being hovered on our screen right now. This would be blind. I'm not expecting them to pick this. If they pick this, you can fire me. I'll go sit on the couch. Rusty can take my job. It's getting scary. Okay, well, see you guys.
All right, well, it's been fun. Back to the solo cast we go. And this, for me, is fascinating, given the fact that it usually has been saved for 5th pick for them to actually utilize, but they're actually valuing Dongi more. Maybe a bit more consideration as to why we need to try and take the ARI matchup, but it's there, it's revealed.
But why? Like, you have counterpick mid, you've just blind picked a Jax. Jax is one of the worst champions to blind, by the way. If you pick something like a Kennen, you play something like a Jace, it can literally make this Jax's life a living hell in towards his top lane. So to me, this is just a Okay, we have everyone counterpicking themselves in draft right now, really. I don't even know where to start, to be honest. So
top laner gets triggered.
Oh my god. Look, he's smiling because he knows this is literally the matchup you picked Jax
I
into.
have thrown you a bone and you have said I don't want to actually play it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, either way, I guess this is Chippy having a bit of an ego, showcasing that I can pick it and there's nothing you can do about it, and I'm going to punish you for it. So fascinating turn of events.
Well, here's the thing to me, right, is this says that PGG very much wants to be hiding their 5th pick, right? They want to say this is a huge compositional pick that we want to make, so we want to see the rest of the draft round out from the side of Vertex. But it is really a question of what do you go towards. We saw the Rumble being brought out a couple games from Dongi, really valuing that priority that comes out. It's going to be the Galio. So, as a pairing with Kindred, really great in terms of providing so much CC for your Kindred to DPS over the top of, and especially against the likes of Vi, you just chuck your ultimate over the top of whoever Vi presses are on, and it's instantly a slam down, the fight's easy.
It certainly is, and it just gives you so much map pressure at the same time as well, right? The ability to traverse the map as easily as you like it, and I think it just, once again, goes into the pocket of what made PGG so strong when, their mid-jungle was, firing on all cylinders. It was Schönfire rotating, it was Dongi first to be there as well, it was lots of collapses on those lanes, and if you can definitely keep Seaman locked in lane, then it's a case of, well, Galio's here, what can you do about it? Deny the dives or initiate them, as they've done so successfully so many times.
Absolutely, and then on the other hand, we have Vertex here, this full engage, run at you, get as many kills as we can, Kai'Sa dive into the backline alongside everybody else, try to pick up those kills, whereas PGG wanting to play more of that 1-3-1 style, that getting Chippies as far ahead as he can, and he's shown before that he can make value in the side lanes. Whether he'll be able to do it here before his team gets engaged on is the real question.
What is the real question, especially when it is Tomasino looking and Renekton into that? We do know that his last matchup was against Tron on the Cassante, and he played out of his mind on the Renekton in that game as well. Actually had the most gold for what felt like the majority of the game, which is fairly rare for the Crocodile. But either way, must be feeling fairly confident about this matchup and realizing that, well, if I can hold my own in the early portion, the split pushing pressure, which is inevitable, shouldn't be that much of a threat.
Absolutely, and you've got so many tools to support you as well, right? You have this Kindred, a very mobile jungler, who's able to make plays and roam with you throughout the map, and then we talked about the Galio, heroic entrance, able to support you from basically wherever on the map, right? So, to me, I'm going to look at how Chippies and Churnfly can really get online in the early game, whether they can stave off the early pressure that a Renekton Vi provides. And if they can do that, get into the mid game and late game, it really does become a question of, okay, who's going to respond to us in the side lane?
And with the comps now fully revealed, does it make more sense now that they held that Galio to the last pick? Do you feel like, or is it a case of, look guys, the cards are all up there for the taking, that wasn't the pick that really said that needed to be hidden?
There was so many draft sins, I think, that were committed in this. Like, my question really, Skimmy, is why don't you just Galio on 4 there, then you could potentially play Camille or Jax on the 5, right? It's the exact same situation.
Sure.
You just have a little bit more freedom, and then, like we mentioned, Tomasino throwing the biggest sell of all time, picking the Renekton into that matchup. So, to me, that really speaks to Vertex having a plan of, okay, early game dominance is the key here. We want to get to that Herald fight, that second Dragon fight, and really blow up in the game before PGG have a chance to come online.
Which is fascinating, because we know that Tomasino can play the Cannon, right?
And the Jace.
We've seen him play it before, as well
kills.
as the Jace. Exactly, so it's like you've been given a chance to try and outplay it, but clearly a much bigger emphasis on what you've already mentioned there, right? The fact that we need to try and win early, we need to try and control the tempo of this game before it blows out of control, before level 6 comes online, before PGG have accrued enough of a lead that the 1-3-1 can fully be realized.
And to their credit, Vertex have drafted themselves a very easy composition to execute, right? Any one of these members can press the go button and suddenly you have a bunch of other teammates flying behind you. So in a game where there's so much pressure to, make it to the playoffs, to make that top 4 seeding, they've certainly defined their win conditions nice and clearly for themselves.
Dante back on the Kai'Sa, that's how he made his name when he first debuted, coming into the LCO. It's exciting to see more and more players go back to that champion and showcase just how flashy they can be. Well, Max, let's put ourselves into the rift then. All stakes on the line here, playoffs within sight, and both these teams hunting for that perfect 2-0 to guarantee themselves that.
Absolutely, and speaking of Dante on the Kai'Sa, I remember our last cast together was the one where he had the absolutely insane quadra-kill the Baron to save the game for the side of Vertex, so definitely capable of popping up on this champion as we see a little bit of a hey, how are you in the top lane. Jack's definitely feeling good about himself in this level 1 matchup.
He is just going to win out on that front, isn't he? Counter-Strike takes no damage, a couple of bonks back and zones them all the way back inside the jungle. A lot of posturing right now, but everybody's fanned out across the map from top to bottom. No real move to try and make anything happen here at the level 1 mark.
And watching Shenfire's pathing is going to be key, right? That's going to be the biggest determinant of how this Kindred is going to be able to get online. So we can see Vertex already dropping some defensive wards level 1, making sure they're going to spot out any potential wall jumps into a buff steal from the side of Shenfire. But this Galio Kindred pairing, especially as we get to level 3 onwards, really becomes so proficient at, warding a Raptor camp, catching you out in it, and blowing up your jungler. So Vertex going to have to do a really good job of staying cognizant of Kindred at all times.
To your point, can you imagine if it wasn't the Jackson, it was the Camille Galio on top of that as well, right? Suddenly we've just got Exodia combos of just everybody getting locked down and really counter-punching what Vertex have to do when they want to pull that trigger. So definitely a lot of avenues to make this one even spicier, but we've got what we have now. And there are some new champions on the field of play.
He really wanted to get that Q off.
He certainly did.
He had a goal in mind and he stuck to it. Very persistent. Here as we can see the wave pushing in favor of PGG. As you take a look all around the board, really, they are feeling pretty comfortable with their priority in these early lanes. You can already see the ward drop onto the Raptor camp to scout out Kudo's position. But Galio, one of those champions, and I think it really speaks to the way PGG like to play the game, where this team places a huge emphasis on mid priority, right? If your mid can push and move, that is exactly what they want. And almost across the board, lanes pushing, lanes winning for PGG.
And, I think it's too early to call it, but I get almost flashbacks to sort of the role that Tally had on Chiefs at one stage, where, he came in as like, I'll play Ryze, I'll play Galio, I'll play Just to Fate. My job is just to control tempo and mid and rotate to protect my Fed AD carry or, play towards what would have been Tapoon back in the day, right? I've got lanes to play around. I just need to be in role, get the job done.
And speaking from experience playing against Tally, it makes it so annoying as a side laner, right? Because you don't feel like you can actually be aggressive. You don't feel like you can press up on your opponent as much as you would like, because there always is that threat coming from the mid lane. As we take a look at the top lane, we can already see that Chippy's getting a nice little wave crash, getting a cheater recall off, coming back to lane with that longsword. So yes, he's down CS, but feeling good already in this counter matchup.
Certainly is. Any bit of extra power certainly can sway one of the most volatile matchups I've seen. You get that item advantage, that mythic comes on first. It just feels like top lane's done from that point onwards, right? And you get so punished if you were to try and go for a rotate, a play, a roam elsewhere on the map to try and find something perhaps with one of those early TPs. But the cheater recall certainly doesn't go amiss. Dongy did get bullied out of lane as we saw just before. He's going to rotate back to lane and be A-OK as we check in with those Tomasino stats we just mentioned before. I mean, absolute blinder of a game, finishing at, 7-2-8. And doing a boatload, nearly 30% of the team's damage.
Having 30% of the team damage on Recton is crazy. Like, absolutely crazy. This champion essentially doesn't do anything post 2 items realistically, right? So to come in and drop a stat line like that, certainly a player who, was understated at the start of the split, to say the least, but has come into his own as the split progresses.
Tony has only going from strength to strength. And it just makes us so excited about this mid-jungle matchup. I feel like one of the core components of what makes the team so strong, right, is how rigid, how cohesive is your mid-jungle pairing, because they can really determine what we're doing, where we're going, and what the rest of the team is aligned to try and play around. Speaking of, Gudo is in the area right now. Maybe doing a little bit of vision toggling, perhaps anticipating a dive that has been so characteristic of Penton at the split.
Yeah, absolutely. Shenfire going to be hovering towards this bot lane, but Vertex do have a good read on it. Wave in their favor as well, Skimmy.
Certainly is, and both junglers are going to meet inside the river. Rosie and Appy are going to trade blows right now, but Violet's got the Gravitum, so locks in place Dante. Nothing more is really going to come of it, though. Just warning shots. There's Counter-Strike topside. Chippy's going to do a boatload of damage. One more leap. Had the flash, but decides against the 80 HP.
Yeah, we can already see this top matchup not going in favor of Suman's caught.
He is caught. He's in a world of trouble right now. He's going to burn a flash, but it's just not enough, and it is going to be first blood for Penton. Just like that, Shenfire claims it.
And no one better to get the kill than onto your Kindred to start off this game. The Raptor camp going to come into the eyes of Shenfire as well as Gudo. Doesn't have Smite just yet. If Shenfire takes this out, he'll be able to get it. So that's another mark in the hands of this Kindred. And we talk about this Kindred Galio pairing providing so much CC already, showing its value here.
Already finding so much success so early on. 2 marks as early and as easy as you like it. And here we go. There's a lot of fan favorites out there believing that Vertex have what it takes. They've leveled up the team enough. But as for Pensnap, they'll be hoping this is the run. The run to playoffs with 2 games remaining and 2 teams that are hungry for that position. The fan vote seemingly all things Vertex.
Yeah, the fan vote very surprising to me. I mean, they are even in standings, but we talked about it before. It does feel like PGG are the favourites coming in, and we can already see towards this top lane. Thomas even sitting on a cloth armor and boots, not doing any relevant damage whatsoever compared to Chippies, who's on this Sheen. So, you know, this is a matchup that gets worse for Nectin as the game scales. So to be losing it at 6 minutes speaks volumes.
Certainly does speak volumes. It's not going to get much easier. Not going to get easier at all. Anytime soon for sure. Begs the question then, what is the plan for Vertex then to try and triage the situation? Do you just leave them online and say it's doomed? We would much rather utilize our resources and time better spent elsewhere. Or do you try and poke your head into the top lane, maybe catch Chippies off guard who wouldn't anticipate that potential jungle gank and try and force some pressure elsewhere?
There's definitely windows towards that top lane, right? If Jax uses his E for trading, you can flash W into a full Vi combo, almost certainly would take down Chippies. But to me, it's going to be a case of, okay, we're going to leave you alone until it's time for Herald. Once the Herald's on, as Dongi potentially could get looked at here, but he's got the Merc treads first. He's very safe in this mid lane.
Certainly is. Control goes down in the bottom pixel bush as well. And with a Dark Steel acquired, he just wants to vibe, really. Pick up assists, be there to protect. And with the ultimate online now, just scout out opportunities in either of those side lanes to make magic happen. Goodo very patiently waiting though. He's been here for a hot minute now. Not going to find anything. And he's going to go back to base.
And while this is happening, right, Shenfire's farming. Shenfire's picking up camps, now sitting at level 6 with the ultimate online here, hovering towards the spot side. But you can see that Vertex are sort of feeling the pressure as Flash has to be committed there, Skimmy.
It certainly does. The crash down was going to be beautiful, and that does force Dante to defensively flash away. Safety of the tower. I'm not going to offer him too much protection because he's already down 20 CS.
Yeah, exactly. A very rough start here for the bot lane of Vertex. But my overall point, Skimmy, is Vertex get outscaled in this comp. They feel like they have the pressure on them to do something early, right? And as we look, Herald spawning in 15 seconds, a potential target to head towards and say, okay, sure, we haven't found any action in our favor so far, but we're going to look at this to get us started.
Not going to man an assault towards this dragon anytime soon. That is going to be picked up for free here by Pentnet. Easy as you like it for Schönfire, sitting on 3 marks right now. I mean, he's steadily farming up. He's getting strong. And at any given opportunity, he's going to be looking to try and hunt down Goodo as his nemesis as well. Goodo's primed and ready to go with the charge. Knocks him down to 50%, but that is Dongi there. First to rotate. And it just makes it a little bit too easy for them to go from Dragon to Herald.
And this is what I mean, right? You never get your own Raptor camp when you're playing against Kindred Galio because he will always shove the wave, he'll always be there. Even if he can't, he has that ultimate. But this is what I was talking about, Skimmy. Vertex prioritizing that early Herald, saying, okay, this is a way of us to get some gold on the board, feed our members who need to get started on the right foot.
Certainly is the case here as Appy is in the mid lane with Dongi, just protecting for the meantime. It's going to be Violet on his own, rotating back to bot lane where there is nobody else to join him so far. Multiple members committed towards guaranteeing this, as Vertex will successfully pick up that Herald. But they've actually gone for a bit of a lane flip here, very early on.
This is interesting, and I guess it's because you are suffering so much in that bot lane, like you previously pointed out, 20 CS down, not a position you want to be in. Also kind of saves your Renekton. Yes, he's going to get bullied a little bit, as he's actually left alone here, Skimmy. There's no members down here. A teleport potentially able to save him, but otherwise this is just going to be a wave completely going to waste for Vertex.
This is a wave and a lot of turret plates. The ideal weapon setup right there for Violet. The Chakram's active just to really whittle this one down. So many minions are going to go to waste as well, and Chippies just need to play patiently. They're already winning on the bot side. They don't have to worry about how far behind this Renekton's going to be. He just doesn't need to die, and Violet will just passively get stronger.
And they're getting some plates here, Skimmy, but keep your eyes on the minimap. Rel, Galio, and Kindred all coming up to defend this turret. They're not going to be able to get it completely. So yes, they got their Herald, but you'd have to say PGG feeling very good about that play with the amount of gold they're able to get onto Violet.
It was a massive hard force here from Vertex. 4 members strong now, make it 4-3. They summon the Herald instantly and say, we've put in the time, we've put in the resources, we will guarantee gold injection going into all the right places. But it's not enough to take the tower, and still, once again, it's Violet. Solo experience, so much gold, and a plate that's really one left.
I mean, he's a billionaire at this stage, right? There's plain and simple no other way to say it. And when you talk about a team like PGG, what's their win con? So often it is, okay, Violet hits 3 items and then suddenly, wham bam, we just win a team fight, right? So that is definitely getting them started off on the right foot. I think Vertex had the right idea of wanting to make a play top, but they just mis-executed, right? Not covering that bot play, meaning you're losing so much, and then only able to get them down to 2 plates in the top lane. Dante doesn't know Appy's in this bush, though.
He's going to be very careful. When there's a flash engaged with the Magna Storm onto 2. There's the Counter-Strike layer beautifully on top of it, but the killer missing to try and run away. There is the TP getting cancelled. There is Dante still in trouble. He's not out just yet. Tries to pick up the honey fruit, but is to be denied.
And Schönfire still once more jumps across, meets Leona and says, up, maybe a bit more than I can try and bite off. But ultimately, they've taken down the AD carry. Dante already behind, now even further.
Yeah, 20 CS down, but a very heads-up play there from Appy to stay in the bush. Oftentimes, when you do have that lane swap as an AD carry, you feel so confident, right? You feel untouchable. This is my lane. I'm just going to walk up and hit the turret. But
yeah.
PGG realizing that and capitalizing it, even committing the TP from the Galio, which was eventually cancelled. But taking down Dante. That being said, he has the static shift completed. A nice spike there for the Kaiser in terms of the wave clear that it provides. But checking back in bot lane, 25 CS down here. 1 player remaining on the turret. Violet feeling fantastic.
As you said, feeling like a billionaire, so let's get confirmation rather of that. And yeah, there you go. Basically, near about 1,000 gold over Dante in that matchup, so sitting very pretty. You will say that Static Shiv will be one of those like tempo cheat items in the sense that it will definitely farm up a lot of the CS that you may have missed, or give you the ease of access to play a little bit safer, but still get up. Perfect CS in response.
Where is anyone? No one's here to protect Dante.
He's going to try and trim this as much as he can, but he's just respawned, and he might just be sent packing straight away again. It's Violet that picks it up, and then the second prize is, well, I'll just get a turret as well. Where is anybody else? That's the question, Max. Nobody to be found.
Vertex are incredibly confusing here. They're just leaving members on the weak side to defend the turret. A Kaiser, not even a Renekton who has that ultimate and a bit more survivability. So Dante dies, comes out of base, runs, tries to protect his bot turret, and falls down once again. So really interesting and strange rotations from the side of Vertex.
It only is strange considering that Dante, ever since his introduction to this roster midway through the split, has been phenomenal. He's really brought a new degree of strength to that position, and to be sort of left to his own device like that is definitely a question mark on it. Still yet to see, really, the likes of the Vi and Ari come into their own and try and strike back. No real gank threat so far. And it's just been the lanes passively losing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're Vertex here, you cannot be content with this current game state, right? You need to force something, a fight. And with Dragon spawning in 5 seconds, this could be the perfect time. Item spikes coming through almost across the board here for the side of Vertex. We see Thomasino basing now. May be able to complete that Mythic, but fights on mid lane.
Certainly is. It's going to be good at start things off with an ultimate on towards Violet. He's going to flash and cleanse himself to safety. Now from a million miles away, he has the caliber map so he can snipe you down. There is the crash down. There is the grand entrance. And Dongy will be the hero, as he means that Chippies can get himself a double kill. Rosie running for the hills, but it's a Jax out of range of the RE charm, so makes light work of it. There is the triple, and this is Chippies in paradise.
Uh-oh, it's a Chippies Jax. He's got 4 kills. It starts off with Vertex trying to find a pick onto Violet. Like we said, they recognize it now is a window that we need to try to force a fight. They bring the TPs in, but ultimately it's the solo laners, and particularly that Jax, who provides so much value on the back end. All that CC has been committed already in the fight. Chippies runs in and has a field day.
It all starts off initially with Gudo being caught, decides I'm just going to make a play on Violet. TP's come out left, right, and center, and it gets cleansed and flashed away.
Yeah, the TPs are committed, but Violet does a good job of being able to get out, right? And as you look at Chippies on the backside, what's actually threatening him? The charm's been used, all the Leona CC as well. So he feels incredibly free to jump into 4 members here and just use this Jax. He doesn't even drop below, he doesn't even lose like 100 health in his entire fight and ends up with a triple kill. So perfect fighting on that timing of the Divine Thunderer coming through, and now this Jax, who was already a problem, is even more so.
And Menace now, Dongy completely isolated, but actually he's going to get away. Flashes into the Kindred ult and lives another day as they are completely protected. 4v3, it does not matter. Seaman going to miss the charge as the Spirit rushes in to at least catch something, but another opportunity goes awry.
Absolutely does. Schönfire saying, you helped me earlier, you helped me get those camps, help me get those kills. I'll save your life here as Gudo potentially going to get looked at here by the mid support jungle of Schönfire. They've found him.
This would be huge if Schönfire picks this one up. I think there's no return from this point onwards. He's going to go for the one-man ultimate whilst the red buff also batters him down. Schönfire picks it up. Now 5 stacks. The Kindred is terrifying.
Yeah, Mark as well, and Skimmy, we're not done. Dante's caught here.
Oh, he's tried to kill her instinct away to safety, but layer after layer, the CC is relentless. He's given up, resigned himself to standing still, and Rosie there trying to protect him. He's going to get gunned down to 50% too. PGG are finding form.
And meanwhile, Herald's going down on the top side. PGG all across the board, just picking them apart. And it really feels like Vertex, one after one, are just getting caught out. There's nothing they can do. PGG reading them like a book. And already at 15 minutes, a 6k gold lead. PGG in firm command of this game 1.
All the ideas of the ease of execution, the simplicity of what Vertex have put together, it's unable to really hit the mark so far. PGG have landed the counterpunch on
multiple occasions now, and it really is a sea of red there at the total
Yeah.
gold. Very strong.
That really hurts, and looking at the item spikes as well, it's not just Mythics, it's incredibly powerful Mythics. The Trinity falls on Kindred, and Jack's working his way towards this Spear of Shojin, so feeling very comfortable at the moment, and this is what PGG are so good at when they are ahead, right? We talk about them being hot and cold. When they're ahead, they will invade, they will constantly put pressure on you. As Shernfire pressuring Gudo right now.
Certainly is. He's just going to juke and drive and try and cause some chaos. He does get a chance, but he does not care. Dongy comes in like Superman to save the team, give them a shield, and inspire them to victory. Keep fighting. We do not care. We're winning even in the split push.
And that's the thing, who is there to actually follow up and then engage? Sure, Gudo's able to find Shernfire, but do they forget about the Galliard? They forget about all these members in the area for the side of PGG. And then once you lose a member like that, your engage options are so limited now. Look at how far they're having to stand back, respecting the side of PGG and Skimmy. Like you mentioned, the Renekton absolutely getting handled by Jax in that side lane.
So much sacrifice seeming to be the key word here for me, Max, at least in the very get-go in this series. You mentioned it in the drafting phase, a lot of blunders that gave you a bit of a head-scratcher, but I mean, in terms of this one here, they just can chuck you know, their bodies on the line without a fear in the world.
They almost get baited by seeing Shernfire by himself here, right? And immediately after they engage, Appy comes out, reveals himself from the bush. You have the Galio ultimate over the top, right? So they think, okay, this is a plain pick, but with the setup and the positioning that PGG have, because they are so far ahead, it really doesn't amount to anything, and they're able to capitalize on their mistake.
Well, 17 minutes in, it is a bit of a one-sided affair so far. 9 kills to 1. And a 6,000 gold lead favouring the side of PGG. It's going to continue as they look to try and find themselves another fight. Shernfire standing in the Lamb's respite, flashing out at the very last minute, denying the heal, and might die because of it.
No way.
He's still alive. How is he still living? 24 HP to his name, and he comes in and says, "I'll just get shield, Tomasino," with the flash pounce to try and ruin it all. But Triumph, OP.
Oh, that hurts so much if you are the side of Vertex. Shernfire, not only does he live on approximately 5 HP, then comes back in to kill Tomasino off the back end of it, but already we can see the power of the disengage that PGG has, right? They find a good angle, but it's all into a Lamb's Rest, but buys time for the rest of PGG to get there. And after that, they're so far ahead at this stage, it is just simply a matter of cleanup.
That may have been their very best chance of trying to claw this one out. Let's run it back again. All sorts of a beautiful Zenith Blade.
Yeah, and they find the engage onto Shernfire, but look at the TP. Comes in from the side of Chippies. Keep in mind, Galio's bot lane this entire fight, right? This is a straight 4v5, but it's Violet. Red, white, don't fight in the middle of 3 members, dishing out so much DPS. Yes, he goes down eventually, but the damage he provides means Shernfire's able to get the kill off the back of it, and that hurts so much if you're Tomasino. Chippies, though,
hurts the soul, and perhaps hurts Jackson a second, because there is the initiation. He turns around with the counter-strike, but now he's going to find himself 3 members hunting him down. And the Crocodile's hungry, and he does get revenge. He gets himself a massive shutdown. It's not going to deter PGG. I mean, they're just never having fair number fights. They're just constantly split pushing.
Chippy's coming out, I'm not really sure what for. But yes, you lose Chippies, right? But you get a mid-tier 2, you get a bot lane tier 2 as well. And Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. Vertex don't want to let this play continue after Chippies respawns. They're trying to hunt down PGG.
They certainly are. Vision control, flanking angles coming at them from every single possible position. Instantly starting off that third Dragon of the game with 1 apiece. PGG going to concede this one. No need to take any risks. No need to be crazy with it. They'll let Vertex have this one. They know that they are still in such a commanding position.
Very smart there from PGG, right? We have talked to them and seen games where they've lost basically unlosable games from the side of just over-eagerness to contest objectives, but saying there, okay, even if we could potentially win a 4v5, which I think they can if they did have something like the Lamb's Respite up, they're saying no, we'll take the even-numbered 5v5s. 1 Chemtech Dragon going over doesn't matter whatsoever, but Skimmy, as we're getting later into this game towards this 20-minute mark, there's already 2 turrets down, right? The next one is an inhibitor turret, so if you leave Chippies alone in the side lane for an extended period of time, the threat of him not only getting a turret, but ending the game intensifies.
Well, that becomes a question now because Baron has spawned, and that's exactly prime time for Jax to excel when it is 5, make it 6 turrets to nothing. You leave him on his own, he'll flash away, he'll waste your time, and his team have enough damage on their own to get the Baron done.
They can't even walk in, they simply do not have the time from when they finally reveal the Baron, so that is just going to be that going down a 20-minute Baron rush from the side of PGG, and split push 1-3-1. You're playing against 3 lanes of Baron now as Engage is on.
We're not done just yet as goes the Graviton ultimate, but then Stearman says, I also want a piece of the pie, and jumps in with a Spirit Rush, which to really no one's surprised doesn't net them much. Dante does burn the cleanse, was Very concerned about the potential for PGG to hard force a fight with the Baron. Now they're going to be terrified inside their own jungle. It's Rosie that starts things off. It's the Magnet Storm that equalizes it. It's Schoenfire amongst the chaos looking for the heal. Everybody joining him. He's the first casualty in this fight. Down goes Dongi. A little bit too late to protect his jungler, but it won't matter. Chippies is so strong on his Jax right now. He takes anyone on. Dongi will find one. Jax will too. 14 kills to 4.
I like the idea from Vertex, right? They acknowledge that if this game goes extended, if they're allowed to set up in that 1-3-1, it's just going to be over. So they pull the trigger. But that being said, the Lamb's Respite has been invaluable this game in buying so much time for the rest of the members of PGG to get into the fight. And it really feels that if Chippies is in a fight at any stage this game, it's just the losses. We take it again. The VIQ actually misses because Schoenfire is playing incredibly aggressive, so they're not able to layer the CC as effectively as they would like, and that enables the Lamb's Respite to come out. That enables this TP to complete and the Galio ult to come through. And then, yeah, once Chippies is in here, no one actually does enough damage to threaten him, even if he's eased down at this stage.
Anybody can just run the rest of the backline, right? And one by one, they get run down by the death squad that is PGG at this point of the game. Not too far away now, Max, from that 10k lead. Certainly showcasing us something a little bit different coming out of PGG later on into the split when it really does matter. And they're going to look to try and take down the latest addition to the roster, Gudo. The next one on the chopping block, shredded from 50%. Violet, with the stopwatch, taking no chances as the kill secures a double kill. Down goes the Solar Flare, stunning up 2.
Big.
Can Vertex answer back? Well, Tomasino will find 1, but slicing and dicing away is he and the rest of his team as Dante is so down low. And I mean, look at this. Once again, Chippies on the flank.
These fights look good, right, for the side of Vertex, and then you realize it's actually a 4v5 and you're losing on the other side of the map, right? That being said, even in that fight, everyone says, okay, we need to try to kill Violet. He just stopwatches, he gets out of the back of the fight, and he's completely fine. Chippies, meanwhile, is getting this top lane inhibitor. So Vertex, they do have the right idea. They know they need to pull the trigger on someone as Chippies is the next target.
It is to be the case. The charged up flash engage.
And he's gone.
And he may be out, but that's a flanking TP. Everybody wanting Jax, and he is gone. Flash, ward hop, blast cone. Can't catch me.
Nope, he has fancy feet, and see him in the Ariel just coming off cooldown, so not able to find that chase. As we take a look at this fight again, it starts off with Gudo finding Violet. Appy responding immediately, but look, no one's actually getting onto Violet to do damage, right? Kai'Sa ultimate comes just short of clearing the wall, so not able to find anything. And then at the end of the day, he's got the stopwatch at the end. Doesn't need to use it realistically, but just has that extra bit of safety in the bag if he needed.
Tony wasn't taking any chances on that occasion. Wanted to be a DPS threat, wanted to be around for the rest of this one to continue, and was obviously a massive factor in allowing them to continue to siege on forward and find themselves that mid lane inhibitor. Obviously the top lane, super low. That wasn't to be confirmed.
Where are we for Vertex here?
Tell you what, they have been routed out of their own base, being told to recall inside the jungle. PGG on the siege. Not going to find themselves another one. Actually, for the first time in what feels like forever now, grouped up as 5.
Yeah, Siemens trying to get something done top lane, trying to get those objective bounties back, but you're going to lose triple inhibitor here. You're going to lose any potential you have of being able to leave your base for the next couple. Oh no, Chippies.
Well, that's a mixed click, and that is the game over. You feel a little bit tilted for him right now there, Max. Not what you want to hit.
They have to go. I mean, plenty simple, they have to go.
Certainly could have been a way back in here, but it is to be the triple inhibitors going on down. Super minions are going to be spawning and running right inside their base to poke, to harass, to damage the wallet. The difference between these teams right now is so big.
The good news is, Skimmy, is right now there's only one wave of supers pushing in. It's only this wave, so if Vertex can, you know, survive the push, they could stay in the game.
Well, they tried to go for it. Solar Flare doesn't hit the mark, but in goes Gudo, instantly shredded on down. Jumping in is Dongi as he looks to protect his fallen compatriot. Appy is dead. And it's really up to now Seaman to try and find that pick target, to try and get the ball rolling, to allow the rest of his team to try and find their target, to lay the damage, to get the CC, to get the kill. They're doing what they can. Violet is flashing away to safety. He's outranged him. He's got the leech, he's got the rep, and he's got the damage. As Vertex tries they might there, Max. They tried so hard. That was the wave, that was the play, but it is the ace to end the game.
For a second there, it looks like Tomasino was going to go raid boss in the middle of that fight, like he was going to be able to save the game. But ultimately, it's PGG who have come into this game, this series, with a plan. They're saying, we are not fit to be tied with you, and they're going to take game one in dominant fashion.
That they certainly did. 25 minutes, they wasted no time with finishing business up there. Really are playing towards the stats of what we mentioned. More years of experience playing this game, more titles, more pedigree. We shouldn't be in the same conversation, and that's what it looks like if we can beat you in that fashion.
And PGG, so often cold to start their series, really felt like they came in here with a very clear direction, playing through that jungle, playing through that mid, Galio, Kindred, and just got the ball rolling. Sidelines winning individually, stomping, to be quite frank. Looks great across the board for PGG.
So he did. A new brand of League of Legends coming out from PGG, a little bit of a refreshing look, for me personally.
It feels good to see them start off hot again, man. Like, as you said earlier, Max, those bad starts for Schoenfire wiped off the ball with that Kindred game. But I think what we wanted to talk about again is the draft. That felt like what impacted the game the most. Seeing Chippy's first pick, that Jax, was pretty crazy.
Yeah, this game had, I mean, it was almost determined from just laning phase, right? Like, top lane genuinely lost 1v1 in the Renekton versus Jax matchup. There was a TP disadvantage and 80% health gone 5 minutes in. So, like, top was doomed. And that's a shame because Jax was picked blind, you picked Renekton into it, right? Yep. You chose that matchup. And that was just top lane. You look bottom, 20 CSD, mid got ganked. I think the Galio pick in particular was actually really smart. So one thing that isn't often spoken about because it's kind of forgotten in competitive League of Legends is Jax blind if you fifth pick a TF or a Galio. Jax is suddenly a really good champion because it doesn't matter what your matchup is, the Galio or the TF comes top at level 6 or at 1 item or at 3 items and suddenly the Jax can 1v9 the game and it's not this Fiora that's splitting, it's a Fiora that has someone in the pocket, right? So that's why I like the Jax pick. But then I just feel like, you know, going for the Renekton in response to it makes things very difficult to play out against the strategy that Pensnet locked in with that blind pick Jax. So I think they made it hard for themselves here a little bit, Vertex, but again, when all said and done, they simply lost in the mechanics of the lane. And so we can't look at the champions too greatly and say that was the #1 issue. It felt like they simply just lost their own lanes. So a big fan of the Kindred pick as well into the Vi Ahri pick composition. They've countered a big fan of the Galio into the Vi Ahri style combo as well. I think Rel had a free game because they picked Leona into it. So, like, all of these things, this is all just draft right now. I looked at the draft when it was finished. I said, I like what Vertex have in a vacuum, but against Pentanet's comp, kind of hopeless.
And the Night Harvester, too, on the Galio. I mean, looking for extra damage. Max, is that ever, like what is that, Night Harvester Galio?
I mean, it's, yes, 1 damage, but also the mobility gives you a little bit extra movement speed as well to be able to catch up and make those plays. And overall, you know, Dongy, someone who is very happy walking the line of both damage and facilitating, and it's exactly what he did here.
And then we just talked about Jax being locked in, which is blind, and then with Galio to back it up. But, I mean, he didn't even need the Galio to help him out in lane. Chippy's kind of just controlled the lane himself. Yeah,
genuinely by 5 minutes, Chippy's had won his 1v1. Tomasino was out of the game and was certainly struggling, and that's without intervention from either of the junglers, right? And by the time Vertex found opportunities to go up to that top lane, summon the Rift Herald there, they were a little bit slow in their execution as well. So it made things really easy for Pensnet to essentially just play stable League of Legends because they'd already built their leads. And like, you know, you get to a team fight, they're going to have an item advantage and suddenly the game's, you know, just a little bit too easy for them. And all it takes is that one big fight, right? Chippies will come through, get himself a triple kill. Game just goes from like maybe playable, but definitely losing to just outright over.
I think the bizarre thing for me was the fact that Dante goes for the lane flip knowing that he's down 20 CS, then gets ganked upon on the top side. As soon as he respawns, runs down bot, just dies straight again. Where's the protection? Where's the team?
And this felt like a common pattern for me, right? Was Vertex would go for a play, they'd commit members, and then just completely forget about the weak side, and then get really hardly punished on the opposite side of the map.
And we saw that Vertex being punished, not working together. Rusty, you had a replay about that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so the fight at 13 minutes is basically the fight that seals the game, and the way this starts is the perfect example of where Vertex were going wrong. It's Gudo getting caught from a flank that he just wasn't prepared for. A teleport comes in, and amazingly, this is one of those fights where they kill Schoenfire in CC before he can ult. But they still end up giving over the triple kill to the Jax, and again, the byproduct of, like, if this was a fight that Vertex chose to take on their terms, that they were set up for, that teleport could be earlier, or the team damage could be there faster, and suddenly Schoenfire not having ultimate is a really big factor for the fight. But because Gudo was caught, it becomes a jungle 1-for-1, and it is still just winning for Pensnet because they had that lead already.
That's nightmare fuel, man. Triple kill on a Jax. In my dreams, I was thinking, oh, oh no. And getting Jax that far ahead pretty much spelt the end of the game for them. Vertex, though, did you sense any positive ideas in their draft or anything in their game that might be redeeming for them as we move into the second game?
I mean, I like their composition. I do like the champions that they chose. I think they overall made their identity very easy to play out. I just think they need to be a bit more aware of what their opponents are drafting, right? Respect the Rel. The Gragas ban as well in that draft was really nice by Pensnet to deny Vertex the tools that they required. But I think if Vertex come into game 2 and it's like even playing field, draft is the same, everyone's happy, then I think they can play the game out and be much more comfortable. It just felt like they were a little bit too uncomfortable with the things that they had.
And draft-wise, look, I kind of agree. I did like the composition that they had. Besides the Renekton, that was the worst pick, possibly this split, right, I think. But the mid-jungle, it really felt like they were just reacting. Can I get my point out? They were just reacting to someone showing up in front of them, and they were just pulling the trigger, right? There wasn't any foresight behind that. They were just saying, okay, multiple times we saw Gudo just seeing a member, pressing the ult button and being like, oh, okay, I'm here now, and there's 4 members on top of me, and we've just lost the fight, right? So yes, Viari is good, but that you need to have a specific target in mind. You need to have a timer where you're going to make it actually work.
And maybe that is what Vertex, we need to look for within Vertex is, yeah, they got their 2 new members. Did they make any difference to what Vertex normally plays as a team?
It's definitely not the debut you want to have. That's all I say.
Yeah, I don't think they made much of a difference. But again, this is not one of those games. Like, you don't look at one game sample size and say, yeah, wow, what a difference they made with how quickly the game felt like it slipped out of their hands. For me, this is one of those games where we're actually looking at Pensnet and saying, like, damn, that's a team that wants this 2-0, right? That's a team that wants to wrap this up as fast as possible and just get out of here this week because they haven't got a 2-0 on the board yet, but this is the best way to start that.
And that's something you really want to hear as Pentanet. Oftentimes you'll take a win because the other team kind of missteps. And you're like, oh, okay, we won that game. But to hear, hey, we won that game. We played better than the other team, and that's what closed them out. So congratulations to Pentanet for that first big win. We've got some more from the fans, which man, I'm actually kind of excited to see what people have been cooking up. An ability to use. If you could use any IRL, what would it be? I've been thinking a bit more backstage, but maybe this will help us cook a little bit more.
That's kind of
Nico
hype.
Transform. Nico Transform is so good.
Just become
It's
plant.
so good.
Why would you become a plant?
Why
of all
not?
things?
Because you can. Like, imagine it's sunny outside. You just become a flower and it's like, man, it's
That
sick.
would be sick.
But
It also
hear me out.
gives you nutrition.
Hear me out.
on a
What if
sunny
somebody
day.
picks up the plant? Now the plant's dead. Are you just dead? Like, what
No,
happens?
you transform
get
back.
revealed.
It's Nico. Yeah. But like, what if as the plant you can photosynthesize, you don't need to eat?
Whoa.
That'd be hype, right?
You reckon it'd be like nice to photosynthesize? Would you feel steadily fuller and fuller
Yeah.
and fuller?
It'd be nice to photo. You just got bees on your body. Yeah, pollen. Yeah.
That's a question I've never considered in my life. How does it feel to go through the process of photosynthesis?
Feels good, mate.
I'd be
Feels,
keen.
it feels wonderful. Them vibrations going crazy.
Level 6 Invis. Wait. Evelyn's, maybe this is noob showing. Evelyn, her other ability is Invis, right? Or is it a roll?
passive.
A passive.
No, passive.
Yeah, so the level 6 Invis, you just go and you kill someone.
No,
No,
so
that's a roll.
Once you get level 6, you start becoming invisible when you're in your passive.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Does
well,
this not imply you have to be 6 years old before the invisibility takes effect? Like,
Sure.
wouldn't that freak you out?
Sure.
Like,
She
you're
just
5
turned
years
6.
old, and they're like,
Where's
happy
he gone?"
birthday to you? Like, where did you go?
Invisibility would be nice, though.
This gives me strong devious vibes, though. Like, you want to be like checking out what like one of your mates is up to, or like you know
Yeah.
hiding around, be like, oh, what's going
But
on
you
here?
can't choose to not be invisible. Right? After a certain amount of time of not being seen,
could
you're just
punch someone.
invisible. So you have to like surprise everyone to
Yeah.
stay visible.
Yeah.
and-
We have
I
to
don't know.
work out the technicalities
Yeah,
of
it's a
that one.
tough one.
Turning 6. Okay, well, a bit of a menace at hide and seek. Yeah, I had mentioned this before. Gragas W. You
And you take less damage as well. Now, what would that look like in real life? Like, could you do that and then suddenly, I don't know, take a punch from Muhammad Ali and you'd be completely fine,
That just looks
right?
like you're a drunken brawler. You're just at the pub on the weekly, just getting it done and saying like, come at me, mate. I'm immune to damage.
That's a power move. I think
Yeah.
Gragas W is a real Giga Chat decision.
Are there any other ones that just is consuming stuff? Drinking,
Well, there was the
Gangplank.
Gangplank
The
W
Gangplank
before.
W. Echo that's it.
We were discussing this backstage. It was
We
like,
were.
there is a lot of funny uses for this one because you have to assume it's only 4
4
seconds still, right?
yeah.
So you've got a very limited time frame to make the blunder and then go back on it.
We were saying, right, you could have so many awkward situations like you confess to your crush and she's like, actually, I don't like you. Like, alt, I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
But then when
Never
she
was
says,
said.
actually, I don't like you, I love you, and then bang, you cut it off. But it's only 4
Run it
seconds.
back.
So you've run it back already.
Even worse is I feel like there's a bigger downside to running it back is you just explode once you press R.
True, I mean,
Damage
yeah.
back,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how would you explain that? Like, you just, I'm sitting on the couch here, and then suddenly Rusty's gone flying. Huski's gone
Dematerialized.
flying.
You're just not leveling up your alt, IRL.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, oh,
Oh,
Because
surprise,
it's
I'm
only
here.
you that goes back in time. So
Yeah.
you can't confess to someone and then go back and do it again. Because they're just going to be sitting there watching you go back in time.
It's useless.
True.
It's
Yeah.
so bad. Echo, like time still goes forward. You just go back.
Oh.
Because it's just you that goes back.
Yeah, okay, that would
You
be, that
said
would be
you
real
love me?
bad.
I never said that. What? Huh? Nah?
Never happened.
Never happened.
I
mate.
only just sat down.
Don't know what you're talking about, mate.
It'd be really trippy. That's for
Okay,
Alright.
so if you've got any more ideas, I'd love to hear it. Please, hashtag LCO from the fans. Besides that, one more game to go. Vertex would love to tie this one, and PGG may finally just be able to pick up their first 2-0. Find out on the other side of the break.
6,000 gold leads favours the side of PGG. It's going to continue as they look to try and find themselves another fight. Schönfei standing in the lane for spite, flashing out at the very last minute, denying the heal, and might die because of it.
No
He's
way.
still alive. How is he still living? 24 HP to his name, and he comes in and says, "I'll just get Gil Tomasino."
To the girls in the limelight. Ice on my wrist, yeah, I'm colder than the Arctic. Name on the list, I be rocking on my star shit. You know my name, got the fame, cause I earned it. I know the game, I ain't never been a side chick. We ain't nothing like you seen before. We the type to leave you wanting more. Try to stop us, but you can't ignore. Oh, lady so fly, like you're walking in a gold mine. Looking so fine, you can watch it on your timeline. We got the confidence, it's only common sense. Pay respect to the girls in the limelight. In the limelight. To the girls in the limelight. Pay your respect to the girls in the limelight. In the limelight. To the girls in the limelight. Pay your respect to the girls in the limelight.
Whatever I want, I can have it. I'm exceptional, way above average. Obstacles don't stand a chance. You against me, better make up the plan. It doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. Playtime is over, now finish them. 100%, that's the minimum. I don't listen to them, they some liars. Before you beat the odds, you gotta be put through the fire. Yeah, so I take on every challenge. Life is full of ups and downs, you gotta find a balance. When you're down and out, you find out who really got your back. Listen to me closer, cause you know I'm spitting facts. Yeah, we are not the same, I'm a Wolverine. You thought I was dead, just recovering. I was dealt a bad hand, I just play my cards. But all I need is one shot, like a shooting star. Running out of time, gotta take a stand. I listened to you long enough, now here I'm out of man. Failure's not an option. Throw away your red lights, cause I'm not stopping. Yeah, it doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. Yeah, it's checkmate if we playing chess. If you got a problem, better say it with your chest. I'm the #1 contender, ain't no #2. Cause even if I fall back, I'm still ahead of you. Yeah, cause we the winners, now we can't lose.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's not able. It's a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back. It's time for game number 2. Vertex now looking to draw the game up against Pentanet, and Pentanet, mate, they want to take away their first 2-0. Big things happening as I don't think anyone has Echo R to run backwards in time and work. I don't know how we didn't think of all the other factors when we were talking about it backstage.
We were so zoned in on what could be that we didn't realize how it was.
Wow.
Wow.
That's his message of the day.
That was very profound and
So zoned in on what could be.
I don't know why I said it, to be quite honest.
And that's me half the time,
I don't know
bro.
why
It just
I said
comes
it.
out. I'm equally surprised as everyone else.
Well, I've just said that. I've just put that out into the world. Can't take that back.
So, with the stakes so high for this game, might as well put your Dare fan vote down as well, just up in the corner over there. Yeah, hey, good luck. Hopefully my predictions come true. I went 1-1, while all you guys, non-believers,
Mate,
man.
Yeah.
This is the first step towards the jog, towards the run, towards PGG showing, like, actually, this is the reason why I win Perth.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I'm a believer, mate.
I remember a story about that once. What was it? It was actually went so hard. Tortoise in the hair.
He was trying to tell me this, like, this is some revolutionary thing that no one's ever heard of. Like, have you heard of the tortoise in the hair?
I just want the
Everyone
record to
knows this.
state that this kid that's like barely 18 is just spouting nursery rhymes to us like it's the first time we've heard them. Like we're not 30 deep in living and heard it every year of our life. Bro, you heard of the tortoise in the hair? It goes hard.
It does.
You'll never guess who wins. You'll never guess it. It's
real.
insane, bro. The plot twist.
Humpty Dumpty.
Wait, so
rap
who are the
edition?
hair? If PGG is the tortoise? I think there
PGG
is
is the
anyone.
tortoise?
I would say, so, holistically, if you're considering the whole split, they've definitely
Suppose.
had a very slow start to this.
Well, they stay slow. Anyways, either way, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Schönfire.
Yep.
Because you mentioned hot, cold, and we know all of that. But to me, Schönfire is like a big question mark. Because as someone who only got into League of Legends a couple years ago and then been learning more about the league, Schönfire is like a mythological creature to me. Everyone's like, yo, Schönfire, oh my god, he was so cracked a couple of year ago. Like, no one could stop him. He didn't lose a single game, I think, in his opening split. And until he came back, there was like, he hadn't lost a single game. He came back, finally lost games. Schönfire, why isn't he as good as he was before? Perhaps take us through it in a moment. We do have champ select, but why they're selecting champs, just like blabber on about
We
it.
can have a conversation about
We
that.
can have a little bit of chat. Absolutely, we can. Well, first of all, let's talk about the draft because that's what's
Yes.
the most important part. We need
Absolutely.
to really analyze and say, okay, what do we have? Is it a good matchup? Are there going to be any blunders?
I love Kai'Sa first pick. This is one of my favorite champions, first pickable.
It is.
We haven't seen it in mid lane yet, which is something I'm so sad
Surely.
about because it's so good in mid lane in a lot of situations. We've just received word that this might not be the real champion select. We might be having that conversation a bit sooner.
We
than
certainly
anticipated.
may be. Production said, you know what? Enough about that.
We've echo altered the champion select.
We certainly have.
Yep, totally been here the whole time, right?
Do you know what would have been exciting if
Yep.
it was to go mid lane? Because we know Simon plays every champion like an assassin. Like he'll
Yeah.
play Orianna like an assassin. Okay,
he does.
surely he's got Kai'Sa in his back pocket. Surely.
You reckon?
I'd hope so.
Anyone can play Kai'Sa.
He's kind of a 4-champ Andy, though.
I mean, he kind of is, but at the same time, surely.
I mean, everyone can play Kai'Sa, right? Most mid laners who play AD carry are going to
Play
play
Kai'Sa.
Ezreal or Kai'Sa.
Yep.
Right? Those are like the two champions they default to at all times. So if anyone's going to transition Kai'Sa to mid lane, it's just all mid laners that have played off role before.
Let's just get AP mid Ezreal. That's all I want. I've seen Showmaker play it
That'd be a
once, and
throwback.
I was just like, that's cool.
Wait, what scales would they be in Ezreal's kit?
W
It's,
alt.
W alt. It's not as Q.
Your E scales with AP. Your Q, like, it can apply a lot of on-hit effects, like Lich Bane or something you normally go.
I always
So
thought it's WR.
it's a decent build, yeah.
Actually, wait, are there any abilities that apply on hit effects? If we're talking about
Like a
the
billion.
Ezreal?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gangplank?
Then could you do on hit effects with like if that was an ability that you had?
Huh?
Like,
You know, like we're talking if you have an ability in real life. What does an on hit effect look like?
Ollie,
that's a great question.
That is definitely stumped.
Give me like an on hit ability that
like
like,
Yasuo Q.
which is like.
You stab someone with a sword.
And
So
and then it applies a red buff.
yeah, exactly.
In real
like,
life.
Where are you getting the red buff from? That's what I'm. I
Where
think
are you
it's
getting the
hard to
sword
get an
from?
on-hit effect in real life.
From the fans.
Oh no.
Let's have 5 options. Not just one anymore. Yeah, I don't know.
I actually, we did get cut off back
Yes,
at draft
yes.
as well.
Yep.
So please tell me the myth, the nursery rhyme that is the story of Schönfire.
Yeah, let me educate you. So Schönfire basically won everything that there was to win in OS. He then went to Worlds. He then went to Korea and hit rank 2 or 4.
How impressive is that, by
In-
the way?
in
Like,
Korean-
can you like scale that?
Rank
No
4
one in
Korea?
Oceania has ever hit that high since.
No. Like rank 4 is like incredibly crazy achievement for anyone globally, let alone our region.
FBI,
He got 2. He got rank 2.
he got rank 2.
I think.
FBI
Yeah.
maybe rank 2.
Yeah.
He is the only exception to that. And like, I mean, look where FBI is now, right?
Mhm.
International celebrity. So like, it's unheard of to hit the rank that Schoenfire did. Like, that's how good he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then?
And then he floated around NA for a little bit, came back to OS, obviously to play here. And I think the question of whether he's as good as he was, I think it's a bit of a hard one to answer because there are so many extenuating circumstances, right? Re-slotting into a team in OS is a very different environment to, perhaps playing in NA, perhaps having that solo queue play style. So to me, there are so many factors to consider that I couldn't just say, he's worse now. He definitely is different, right? He's definitely not popping out on a Kindred and dropping 20 kills every game, even though he did have a great performance there, right? So I think he has tamed himself a little bit to reflect his maturity as a player.
But then again, I think in this league as a whole, it feels like we're receiving more and more Korean influence, whether it's receiving our 2 new imports coming through on Team Bliss, and then we've had people who do go overseas. They play in Korea and they hit rank 4, rank 2, whatever it was. But O still struggles in international events or even against PCS, even though we feel like we have players that are this good from the best parts of the world.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? I
mate.
don't know. I'm thinking of PCS and it's like, okay.
If we could answer and solve that question, we wouldn't still be losing, would we?
Let's sort it out right now, boys.
Let's figure it out live on air.
Let's nut it out.
Let's knuckle down and
Why are
find
we
out
pissed?
why. No, I mean, like, obvious answers are the same obvious answers, right? Like, we are geographically challenged in terms of, like, who we can play against, who we can practice against. If all of the other, like, pick another region that you would say is equal to us.
I can't.
Japan.
Okay, yeah.
They get to play against Korea. It's pretty unfair for us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, like Turkey, the TCL region, the EU West.
Yep.
Like they all have things that we don't have, right? So just naturally we suffer from that, this isolation, this inability. Penn the one example of I think what the future would be. Like I think if we go back to 2019, OPL, like when it was probably I would say our prime for average player skill and average like infrastructural support in Oceania, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea to consider all just being in Perth. All scrimming against Southeast Asia. I think that would help us a lot more than we thought at the time.
Wow, man, that's a lot of steps you got to take. But hopefully we get to see OS performing a little bit better in the next PCS playoffs. And now we've had a chance to dive a little bit more into Schoenfire and PGG as a whole. We got to touch on Vertex's draft, but what else can they do better next game? If they got mechanically outplayed in every single area, like you said, Rusty, or at least we saw heavily in the top lane, Vertex, what do they need to do?
Not draft 3 losing prior lanes, I think is the biggest thing to me. When you're playing against the Kindred, you need to be able to say, okay, we have something to contest her here. Sure, Ari into Galio is fine and you can contest a little bit, but ultimately Galio will be able to move whenever he really likes. To me, it is just saying, okay, we can't be conceding top, and then suddenly we've got a Kai'Sa into Philly or spot lane. There's no real points of strength for us to actually play off with this Vi.
But then again, that Renekton Jax, you and me backstage, hey, we were watching a bunch of drafts from other leagues and we were hyping it up. Like, Renekton is so good. But you said drafting losing lanes. Renekton losing to Jax?
Yeah, Renekton loses to Jax pretty hard. It's consistently been one of the picks that Jax just beats in lane, and then outscales ridiculously hard as well, right? So the only way you really win the Renekton into Jax matchup is if your junglers very frequently around that
or
top
like a
lane.
Sejuani or something,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, and you're able, so anytime the Jax uses E, you can get on top of him, and that really baits out how he can play the lane. But yeah, overall, draft some more winning lanes, take advantage of the counter picks that you have, and hopefully get a win on the board this game.
Will we see Renekton? Will we not see Renekton? Ooh, only time will tell. Boys, take the draft away.
Ooh, into champ select we go.
Oh my god, it's on the 2 this time.
Kai'Sa's been locked in. Yeah, Trippy's like, you know what? I don't care about counter pick anymore.
Are we going to do it again? Are we going to do it again?
Okay.
I can't watch.
Let's
Stimmy,
hold
I
our breath.
really can't watch. This Jax blind is so disrespectful. Can I just say that? Like, this is just saying, I'm just a better player than you. I'm just
feels
going to
that way.
beat you, plain and simple.
It does feel that way. It certainly does. But either way, I mean, obviously the draft is still going to open up in the same fashion. Kai'Sa is still going to get locked in as that first pick here for Vertex. Poppy is going to come out. We know that Gudu can play it in the jungle especially. I'm not sure about Tomasino just yet as a top laner, although we have seen others in the league utilize it. But this time it's Vertex themselves the ones to pick up the rel.
Yeah, so this matchup in the top lane, it's actually been quite a popular international pick, this Poppy. Just provides so much utility in a decent laning phase as well. That being said, it's not the pick to come into lane and outright stomp the Jax. Does have a bit of a better time than the Renekton though. So the rel going to come out here, and the answer from PGG is going to be one of those picks that we've seen into it work before. potentially something like the Alistar to provide so much disengage and then counter-engage on the back half.
Certainly is, right? Just completely locks down the rail, makes it very difficult for the rail to ever really get any form of initiation working in their favor. But for the most part, similarities between the compositions. PGG going to open up once again with that Aphelios as well as the Jack. Same bands from either side as well. Let's see what PGG look to try and remove from the table now. As last game it was all about protecting. This time it's all about making sure that Seaman cannot pop off. So deny that Silas.
Silas ban is basically a tax you have to play whenever you pick Alistar. It feels like if the champion gets that ultimate, it's just ridiculously hard to ever kill him in a team fight because he has so much durability. Now when I'm looking at Vertex's draft, it's quite similar to their previous game in the fact that they do want to play towards this bot lane with this Kai'Sa, right? The question is, can they actually find a jungle matchup that's able to facilitate that, able to get action towards that bot lane early on, right? Because if you're not forcing anything, if you're allowing the Aphelios to lane against the Kai'Sa, he's just going to outrange her. He's just going to have a similar experience to last game where Violet was up 20 CS, up plates, having a really great time in the lane.
Yeah, certainly is, and you can see there the pocket pick tax, then something becomes a case of you're very good at Akali, and this was the theme of what it really was for Suman when he played for the Direwolves, right? Permanently banned away against him, and as a result felt like he was very much relegated to the likes of the Ahri instead. They've actually denied away the Annie, so any kind of hard initiation in the mid lane, despite PGG showcasing that they can play the Gallia, that is also now going to be taxed and taken away too. Begs the question then, what is the next response? Do they decide to lock in the jungle here, or just make Suman's life even more difficult?
Yeah, Ahri definitely a champion that can bully you in lane, and the Vi's even open for a potential Vi on 5 as well if you want to have that guaranteed engage pairing that was used against you in the last game here. So Skimmy, I like your question about the Suman target bans, right? Because Akali, Silas, even in the first phase, LeBlanc, Nico, Tristana, which has been played in the mid lane, being taken off. So almost 5 mid lane bans, you'd say, towards here. And for someone who has traditionally had quite a small champion pool, quite refined to those assassins,
it feels
it
like
does beg the question.
Left. Yeah.
And it's going to be Lissandra.
That literally was the only one that would come back to mind as the only option available to you. So they've definitely narrowed themselves into a corner and said this is the do or die situation. We are going for a double reset comp. Mid jungle, we need to excel. We need to be a lot more active early. We need to get the ball rolling.
Classic composition here. Very easy to execute. You lock that one member down. Quite similar to the Kindred Galio last game, right? Where you have all that CC and then the jungler who's going to come over the top of that and provide the damage. So if Dongi at all missteps, if he steps up too far, he is going to be able to fall victim to that 2v2. But Fire once again, the Kindred worked well for him in game 1. Why not run it back?
Why not run it back? Absolutely. And also the fact that a second game in which it's going to find so much value, given that you've just seen the opposition reveal that they are going for a hard reset comp with a Kai'Sa that wants to flourish amongst all that energy. Well, the Kindred once again can just be at the forefront of it and say, nope, denied, wasted ultimate, wasted ability, you're not winning a team fight, you're not winning this game. And ultimately that seemed to be the case for Vertex, right, is we're trying to force a 5v5. Never really was the case, right, because it was so many occasions 5v4s because PGG was so far ahead, we can split push. You still can't even beat us as the 4.
And now this very much becomes a game where Kindred needs to be your #1 target. You need to blow him up before he's able to drop that ultimate because like you said, right, Rel becomes so ineffective, Lissandra becomes so ineffective. If it's all happening in a Lamb's Respite, who really cares, right? So Fire going to be one of those main targets to take off the board, but that being said, right, we saw last game what happened when Vertex were throwing everything those other members. Chippies comes in on this Jackson off the back end, has a field day, right? So to me, Vertex keys to the game need to be making sure they're not losing in lanes like they were before. We're on more even footing, and then playing off that mid-jungle explosive skirmish, blowing someone up, and hopefully having fight start on the right foot.
Still seems like a bit of an uphill battle for them in the bot lane because not much has really changed in terms of the AD carry matchup, right? There is still going to be that range disparity, and the supports have certainly nullified one another in terms of what they can really provide. So I think you definitely turn your attention towards the mid jungle as having a little bit more impact for the side of Vertex, and hoping that the Poppy finds a little bit more success into this blind Jax for the second time now, which is really, as you say, I'm better than you, I don't care what you play.
Yep. Well, this is the thing, right, is that Poppy and Renekton, sure, they're not going to just absolutely run over the Jackson lane, but at least Poppy in the late game is going to have a bit more tankiness, a bit more utility in the sense that there's always that Keeper's Verdict, there's always that W there to limit any mobility on the side of PGG. And to be fair, they have a lot, right? You have that Alistar, you have the Kindred and the Ahri who are all looking to get involved in fights early. So loading onto the Rift here for game 2, Vertex almost do or die, you have to feel, if they want to contest for that top 4. Already down 1-0 to start the series.
But they certainly are, Max. So let's see if they can bring it back in a game 2 fashion, if it can be the perfect debut for the newcomers with all the experience to come into a roster and really hit the ground running. And I suppose I'll pose the question to you. Are you more convinced with this draft being a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit more adept at handling really what PGG are putting out?
Yeah, I do like this draft a fair bit more. I think that Vi and Ari into Kindred is just so hard because there's a bit less damage than up front than you have with something like a Viego and Alessandro, right? I think that particularly in dealing with the Ari, it's a lot more guaranteed. It's able to lock her down and blow her up almost on command, right? That being said, I still think it's going to come down to Rosie as well, finding some nice engages over the top of it, because if Alessandro's your primary engage, very often she can just get dealt with by something like an Alistar before the fight even starts. So multiple angles, multiple flanks going to need to come through here for Vertex.
100%. And I think you raise a really good point because we've certainly seen PGG struggle at times themselves when they've had to, have Dongy on Alessandro and find themselves in a bit of a mismatch where, hey, I'm the one having to try and Frozen Claw in and get the ball rolling. Shouldn't that be my support's job or shouldn't that be my bruiser's job? So the emphasis certainly should be on, can we find flanking angles with the Poppy to try and get aggressive, or can Rosie look to try and make this bot lane matchup just a little bit more exciting as he makes his presence known to kickstart this game here. And both supports are the ones to receive the beating.
Loves getting stuff done level 1, this Rosie guy. Certainly is no stranger to saying a bit of a hey, how are you, and throwing spells out back and forth here, but as Kaiserrel, if you are wanting to really contest here, you can use this level 1 tier advantage, right? Alistar, a very weak champion, but skirmishing already, Skimmy.
He's in a lot of trouble right now. He's limping away with the Ignite ticking. It's not enough to take him down. Dante just didn't have the avenue to get that extra auto attack in. He's the one bleeding. Rosie completely ignored, but Dante was probably dying to minions.
The Glacial Augment is actually huge. They're not allowing the movement speed for Dante to catch up without using his own flash. And yes, off the back of it, they're relatively even health, but the Alistar has the passive, has the double pots. So feeling not too bad about the state of things. Obviously losing Flash is a bit of an inconvenience, but to my earlier point, when you are playing this Kaiserrel bot lane, right, you really need to take advantage of this level 1 where Alistar is plain and simple the weaker champion, right? Doesn't have that combo to be able to come through. And this way you can sort of flip the lane and take advantage of your stronger 2v2.
They certainly said that they want to be a lot more aggressive and a lot more proactive. So, I mean, really to be the key word here is Gudo is going to make his first move on the map. Is
that spot? Is that proc
well, that has thrown me. I'm not sure if he has been spotted. The positioning of Schoenfire would almost indicate that he does know that something is a little bit fishy here. Both bot lanes have removed themselves and have come over to assist. Schoenfire should be able to pick that one up for free. Look at Chip, he's just been a menace with Demolish proc. He's just proxying away, but it's only 3 minutes in.
Yeah, he's proxying him at 3 minutes already. A very similar situation to what we saw last game in that Chippies is just having the early game of his life, but I think there, yes, give me the W actually alerted him to the fact that Gudo was in that bush, enables him to back off safely and get away. And realistically, PGG just stifling any early game looks here whilst winning in the side lanes once again almost feels a bit like deja vu.
It does, absolutely. And all we need now is just that initial play to find that first blood, which last time did go the way of Schoenfire. Big fight to try and take the scuttle. He isn't going to be denied by Gudo today.
You do wonder whether Gudo could have just cast the W on Schoenfire there as opposed to using it for the grab and then layered all that CC from the Lissandra on top of that, but not wanting to take that risk, instead trying to get the scuttle, but that will go over to Schoenfire, and importantly, that scuttle crab was marked, so he is going to pick that up in addition to getting the double scuttle. So 2 camps up, feeling quite good about the state of things here is this Kindred.
Certainly is. Want to be a carry threat. You need to get farmed up ready and early. He's be sitting very pretty, knowing his first reset puts him in a very strong spot. We return to top lane. We see how Chippies is doing. Up by a level at the moment, having a fun time here. As we already saw, he's already having a bit of a bash towards that turret. At what stage do we think we're going to really see the action? Because whenever I see a double reset comp like this, I always go level 6, do or die.
Absolutely, level 6 is the point that we're looking at here. You know, you can potentially look for a burnt flash earlier on if Ari is walking a bit aggressively, but given we're already at 5 minutes and nothing of the like has happened, it really is at level 6. That Frozen Tomb coming through, providing so much damage, but Rosie's caught out here.
He has been caught out. The passive connects, the triple stun as he flashes away. Great flash from Rosie. Yeah. Otherwise, would have been a sitting duck and may have fallen victim to first blood. Great response and a great read from both junglers too.
It really does feel like these junglers both have such a good understanding of where they need to be.
Yeah.
Even last game, they were finding each other, but keep in mind, Appy has no flash. But neither does Rosie, so they're not going to be able to find the angle, and Schoenfire will find Gudo here.
Yeah, just will butt heads, clear out vision, and get rid of a tickle. as they are told to back away. Nothing more to really come off this one. Dragon has spawned. Maybe looking to try and make a play towards it just yet. Dongi has now just crest over to level 6. A rare moment for them to have the ultimate advantage. Might just decide to be once again a Raptor Goblin.
They're so good at this, PGG. They almost have... Oh, as Chibi's gets sent home, has to do a bit of a marathon to get back to the lane, but already this top lane going so far in the favor of PGG. And yet again, it's a Jax blind, right? It's the second game in a row that this pick has just been slammed, and still finding value here, forcing Tomasino out of lane. He's got no TP. This will be a wave crash. This is a huge advantage for Chippies.
Certainly is. Up by a sizable margin already. So the fact that all this is going to be lost on a non-cannon minion wave just really adds fuel to the fire of how strong this Jax is so early on. We saw him get the Sheen and then really ran away with it as a result of that one. Feels like an eternity that these junglers have been hovering around in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Last few minutes, that's for sure. And it's almost like Vertex saying, we're going to do the PGG Classic. We're the ones to now try and dive as a 4-man.
They're looking for it, Skimmy. They have the Lissandra ultimate. Look at Violet.
Appy instantly headbutts Steeman across the wall. Violet is the focus. Violet is the target. Violet's the one that may be falling down. Yes, he will. First blood, they had to put a lot towards it, but Rosie's going to die eventually, falling down to the burn of that ignite. Dongi gets amongst it. He's here for one. He's here for a second, as he sees a very low Goodo jump into the shadows. And with a blast cone to assist, he's gone.
Vertex find Violet, but they lose the fight off the back of it, committing so much. And I'm sure we'll take a replay in a second, but it was Appy there with an amazing headbutt pulverize onto 3 members, buying so much time. And it's very akin to a lot of the fights we saw last game, where Vertex commits so much mobility to get on top of Violet, which we're going to take a look at here, right? Appy doing his job perfectly, zoning Lissandra. Look how far away he puts him, and it's that pulverize there, landing onto 3 members. He's doing everything he can to keep Violet alive. Sure, he goes down, but look how far they are positioned up, and look at how low they are with the health bar. So as soon as Dongi comes in, it's just a free cleanup. It's just a free win for PGG.
Couldn't have played it much better, quite honestly, from a support perspective. Forced out summoners, forced a bit of an overcommit, really, from Vertex to guarantee they would make that play successful. And that definitely allowed PGG to answer back and at least take something for that time.
Yeah, absolutely. As we flash back towards top lane here, Tomasino actually being the one to force Chippies out of lane here, going to get his wave crashed in all the way to the turret there. But looking towards this bot lane, right, we talked about where we could see potential action. And Aphelios with no flash, no cleanse, definitely a target to look at as Rel heads towards level 6.
Definitely very vulnerable is a major concern. And would you believe it? Look at that.
Back
on a dime. It's just completely flipped, hasn't it?
Where is the sense of integrity there?
All the Vertex stands have decided, you know what, we're logging off. Not happening anymore. PGG hungry and hoping for their first perfect 2-0 off the split to come in the last 2 games here would be monumental. Charm into a face check there from Sim and the self-cast off that frozen tomb, but as he comes out as one, is he going to survive? Nice disengage across the wall, and yeah, just not enough damage to get it done.
Yeah, that was clutch. He was about 0.5 of a second away from having that third Kindred auto come through. Procking that E there would have potentially spelled death. As skirmishing in the bot lane, Skimmy.
Appy's in. It's the pulverized combo onto Dante. Moonlight Vigil from a million miles away is enough to make sure that Dante is zoned from the fight. The Void Seeker will not connect. Next on the menu is to be Rosie. He's being knocked back. Down goes the Sentry, knocked into it. As they will guarantee, we'll get at least one. We wanted both, but we'll just win.
It doesn't matter if you don't have flash, if you are able to play like that, the clean front to back, and Appy having an absolutely incredible performance here on this Alistar, creating so much space, winning this 2v2 in this bot lane. And Violet, the benefactor, off the back of that, forcing Dante to catch his wave under his turret. So things are going rosy for the PGG bot lane.
Oh, I like that little playing word there, mate. It's very clever. Members are here. The charm is fantastic. Human going golden once again.
The ultimate, will it buy him enough time? One man Nagnastorm, look at the Lamb's respite. Absolutely huge. Schönfire's gone across the wall as Dante, and he does get it done. He lives to tell the tale, but he's got to somehow get out of this one. Look at his teammates. They're so low. How do you protect them? Dante wants it, but it's into an Alistair with an ultimate going on through. Takes negative damage and really was baited into a false sense of hope.
Where do you even begin to break down that fight? There's so much going on. All this damage being dumped through, and then basically what felt like the entire game was in that Kindred's ultimate there, sitting on a sliver of health. But it starts off with the solo kill in top lane. Chippy's finding the better of him. As we look at this bot lane fight once again, we can see Appy potentially a bit caught out here, not having access to that ultimate at the current second, but makes nice use of the headbutt and the blast cone to get out. But Dongy's here on the back end, finds a charm onto Seaman, which starts off this whole fiasco.
And it certainly does. He buys time with the ultimate across the wall. You see Schönfire looking to try and keep them all intact. And that's the key thing, isn't it? If you can't kill him before the ultimate, you just lose.
You almost feel like Schönfire should have just said, okay, I'll die, I won't pop the ultimate, and then my Aphelios with Infernum can just pick up all those kills, right? Because there were 3 low health members.
For sure.
Obviously, whenever you're that low, reflectively as a Kindred, it's almost just like instinct to press that ult, but Violet would certainly have had a fantastic time with those weapons over the wall. So a very close skirmish, a very tight one, but Schönfire's back up top here with the Herald, looking to crack that first turret.
But he certainly is. He's got 3 marks at the moment. He's got a nemesis in Seaman, looking to try and find him as well, but the Herald will be summoned straight away, and it is good over here to protect Tomasino on this one, as they will take a lot of damage in the process of defending this turret. Dongy also on vision. He's wrapping around, and well, Vertex won't have that one, that's for sure. Across the wall!
Oh, no.
Denied! Phenomenal outplay there by Vertex. You can summon your Heralds, but you can't gank us. Now, bot side Appy on her own has been absolutely collapsed upon. He's got the passive. He doesn't want to turn around and auto. He's dead for rights. Buying time for Violet to rock up to the fight. He says hello. He U-turns straight back to bot lane. And he is absolutely terrified now. The only saving grace, Rosie has no flash.
Yeah, very fast for Violet to be able to get out there, but across the board, Vertex finding advantages in these little skirmishes. It's Dongy who gets a little too overconfident hitting the pink ward and then is collapsed upon an unlucky blast cone getting caught mid-jump there. And then on the bot side, it's Appy, who's a tanky Alistar, but if you've got nowhere to run, no teammates to turn to, you are just going to be taken down in the end. So Vertex capitalizing on a play, getting some gold, much needed, into their back pockets.
A lot more fight from Vertex this game, Max. A massive shift of pace from game 1 to 2. Certainly a lot more bark in their game. And going to be going into a mid-game with a very similar outcome. What we were looking at before around this time was, what, down 6k gold. It was a bit of a whitewash in that regard. And quickly crept up to 10k. Well, let's check in now to see exactly where all that gold is. And it is Chippy's at the top of the table once again. No surprises there. He's been really having so much fun in the laning phase. But it's this time Dante in a strong position to try and fight back.
Yeah, you love to see it. A bit of blue in the what was previously a sea of red, right? Dante sitting with the static shift completed, working towards that Nash's Tooth. And now suddenly this Kai'Sa is actually a threat to dive into that backline and put some pressure onto the Aphelios. He's walking very greedily here.
To be so careful. It's the case of which support can make a play first. Dante into the backline straight away, looking to try and assassinate Violet. He's dropped him low, but not low enough to get the kill. Violet with the sniper is removing Rosie from the equation. Chippy says, thank you for the donation. It's a freebie, and I will take that every day of the week. Mr. Vertex are forced to run the keeper's verdict to try and deny much more, but the damage was already done.
And just as we're singing Dante's praises, he gets greedy. They take the short path back to mid, not wanting to miss out on any CS, but it costs them. Appy flashes the wall, finds a combo, and they try to turn onto Violet, but it feels like every time they go for Violet, they end up overextending, and Violet manages somehow to get out, and it's going to turn the play around. Schönfire going to get yet another mark, now sitting with 4, a crucial upgrade to be able to get that range.
That's the first of many break points for a Kindred to feel really powerful as the game progresses, so definitely able to replicate just how strong they were in game 1, that is for sure. 15 minutes in, and now PGG find themselves up by 3,000 gold. The beginnings of the end, it would seem. Unless Vertex can answer back in similar fashion as they have done so far this game, they definitely have a better shot. And look, I'll tell you what, objectives, especially dragons, are non-factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Not even a single dragon having gone down for either team. But the factor here, as the teams are posturing, all 5 members from both respective sides gathering around this mid lane. The engage is on from Appy.
Headbutt Pulp, they found their target. Tomasino is who they want to take on down. Everfrost is there to guarantee, and it doesn't matter if you hit the steadfast presence. Your presence is removed. Lamb's Respite is there to keep him alive, and that is Schönfire's ticket to get his first. I mean, he just says it's too easy. Low members running away, and I will not miss the day. Seizing the moment. It's another 4v5, Max. Just look where Chippies is.
It's another 4v5. Dante potentially going down on the back end of it, manages just to get out. But it starts off with Tomasino getting caught, and when you're playing this team comp, we talk about it. You need to find that member, you need to blow them up. It can't be happening to you. Instead is Infernum just tickling Dante there, but once again, a commanding fight. Schönfire almost goes down to get that reset, but the Lamb's Respite's able to come out. We talked about needing to get on top of him, and it starts off with this engage. Initially, Tomasino getting chunked down very low, goes down. Meanwhile, Schönfire's getting focused, but he pops the Lamb's Respite. That buys time for the rest of his team's cooldowns to come back up. The Alistar combo coming through, taking down Gudo, and then really it is just a free run for the rest of PGG.
Business as usual from that point onwards, and it just seems like every single time we're looking at a fight now, it's Schönfire the focus, but Schönfire always surviving on 10%. Low enough to bait you in and low enough to ult to safety.
TP, look at Chippies.
First Dragon, here we go. Chippies has got a target in mind. That is a triple counter-strike. That's beautiful. Make it a double knock-up as well. Can they find their kill? The Dragon's been taken by Vertex. Gudo's not here. He splashed away. Chippies has found two. He wants more, and his team will certainly find just that. Dongy hunting for a double as well. They're going to give it across to the Jax. And Chippy says, I heard you boys talking shit about me yesterday. I want to show you that I can carry.
He is playing like a man possessed. We talked about him not wanting to use that counter pick aggressively, and he is speaking to us. He doesn't even need to counter pick. He's that confident. He'll blind pick his champions and still have a field day. And realistically, Skimmy, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's Chippy who's the difference maker here. Look at his TP towards his bot side, splits the fight perfectly, and like you mentioned, finds that huge three-man counter-strike onto Dante, onto Rose, and it's just an easy fight from then on out.
It certainly is. So many knockups, so much damage, but it just seems to favor PGG in such close quarter affairs that it just run you down. And at that point, I mean, when you see Gudo saying, my job is to get the Dragon and disengage away, you're terrified.
You're absolutely terrified, and a 4 to 15 kill score doesn't make matters any less frightening. As we see Black Cleaver now completed, so almost a full item up on his lane opponent is Chippies, really able to beat down the Poppy sitting on that Sunfire Aegis. And once again, side lanes become a very real threat. You have this Ahri, you have this Jax, both able to put significant pressure. And Vertex, sure, they've got members here, but there's no wave, Skimmy.
There is no wave, so it's Dante just walking past the turret, really. Looking to prep it to escort that one in. And whilst you're trying as you might to at least find your very first turret of the game, PGGC, that's fine. That's well and good. The macro, though, is so much more in favor for us because Chippies and Herald will get it done in top lane. The rest of the squad will get it done in mid lane. You can have that one freebie, but we'll get so much more.
Yeah, once again, a bot lane tier 1 is not worth anywhere near as much, even with objective bounties, as a tier 2 top lane and a tier 2 mid lane opens up the map completely. And with Baron spawning in a minute, you're now able to progress your vision line so much further. And we know how aggressive they play once they have these avenues opened up. So PGG in a great spot at 19 minutes.
Yep, they certainly are getting closer and closer once again to the fabled 10k lead. They just kicked it up again. It just seems to be a moment where they can showcase, hey, this is what we should be looking like. And if it is as clear as Chippy saying, we just need to find our voice. We need to find somebody to step up and be the definitive shot caller. Well, so far this game has been working wonders.
And look at how scared they are, saying, okay, we need to find something. We need to find a potential pick here. This is inventive, but it's going to get spotted out, Skimmy.
Blue Trinket reveals it. In goes Chippies again. Looking at a two-man counter-strike. Schönfire the focus. The one to be altered by the Lissandra. And the one to be taken down. The first time this game, the ultimate doesn't connect. Moonlight Vigil. Look at Violet. Completely untouched. It's him and the Jax. They're 1v9. They both pick up a double kill. You can see Chippies in the camera there. Absolutely elated. Dante wasn't a participant. He's split pushing a mid, just farming tier 1s.
He's flexing, but Appy is the MVP this game. How many times has he found a 3-4-man headbutt pulverized combo that just changes the fight completely? Vertex say we have to do something. They had the right idea trying to get a pick, but it's a heads up blue trigger here. Look at the way they get pinted. It's initially Chippies. They find him, they turn everything, they blow everything on taking down Schönfire. But after that, look at that knock up into the stun, into the Aphelios ulti, everything lining up for PGG.
Beautiful work there from Appy, really proving his class here. The conversation as to, is it Yersun, is it Arkia, is it Aladoric?
Yeah.
Don't forget what Appy can do. A man that's role swapped more times than many people's careers can really last. He's showcasing that there's still more left in the tank. Keep us in the conversation.
Absolutely, it's Schönfire. Keep in mind, he didn't use the Lamb's Respite last time, still has that one available.
He's juking and jiving, waiting for the Q reset. He's just commanding the respect of 3 members here. He's jumping back in. The madman, he doesn't care. There's Chippies. They got a target of mine, and it is run down this Viego.
Dante as well could be caught out here.
Run these members down, get them outside of our jungle, let them know we are so much stronger than you. Rosie jumps in with a 2-man crashdown, as well as the 1-man Magnustorm. He's trying to remove Schönfire. They've done it beautifully again. Another ultimate denied, another kill found here by Spearman. But can they win the fight overall? They found another reset. Gudo is on the board. He's now become the Jax. Chippies is removed. It's Violet. Can he do much more than this? He's forced the Gale Force away. Songy's there to try and protect. But Gudo just continues to march forward. The charm, the disengage, the interrupted combo with that stopwatch. But Vertex say, don't run us off just yet.
And this is one of the cons of having incredibly fed members when you're playing against the Viego. If you go down first, the enemy gets to use them, right? That's the case there with Chippies falling. But once again, Schönfire gets caught out by the Lissandra before he's actually able to pop that ultimate and buy time. So yes, they're very far behind, but they're able to sneak a dragon, they're able to find some kills, putting a break on this game potentially.
So many bounties have just been picked up now, from turrets to shutdowns to a dragon bounty as well. It all just starts with the collapse in Schönfire, but then the turnaround from Rosie.
Yes, so Aphelios is incredibly far out of this fight. It is a 4v5 to start things off, and Chippies finds the initial kill, but then everyone on the side of Vertex collapses on him, realizing, hey, we need to get this reset onto Viego. And then once Gudo is in that form, he's practically unkillable, right? The Counter-Strike providing so much value against Violet. And then this is one fast Alistar chasing down Violet to take him out of the equation too. Not even to mention that he uses Stopwatch, not having that available for the next fight.
It's gone, and so is Rosie as well. We've just gone back to live and realized that, well, you can have that second dragon, but PGG have respawned, and they're far more interested in farming you instead. Seaman, completely zoned outside of his base. Just buying so much time for the Baron-inspired team to keep sieging.
And Skimmy, talking about buying time, what's one way to make sure you're not getting blown up in one shot? It's the Zhonya's Hourglass. Now completed for Chippy, so this Jax, who already has plenty of damage to boot, no worries there, now has that extra layer of survivability. Even if he does get CC'd, going to be able to go into stasis, allow his team the time to catch up.
Proficient at split pushing, but when forced to group up with the team is going to be fantastic with the dueling as well. Appy jumps in, 1-man combo in with a steadfast presence, tries to deny what they can. Chippy's going golden already, nice and early. The turret is the focus, and the turret is gone. Appy again on cooldown, find a target, layer him down, and force out every bit of invulnerability they can find. Instant flash from the Lissandra, denying the Ari charm, but they came in with one goal, that is take down this inhibitor, and that is what they get.
They take the inhibitor, they march out of there, heads held high, 23 kills, a kill a minute now for the side of PGG, and it feels like wherever PGG go, destruction follows in their wake. They just kill Dante, what feels like as an afterthought, and take the inhibitor. Now a very dire spot for Vertex, on the verge of going down 0-2. Playoffs dreams getting further and further away every minute we go into this game.
They certainly are. The wavering degree of what does it mean if we go 0-2 in this series. We've got to rely on some other results really landing favorably for us. For PGG to feel that they can actually get the job done. They know they got it in them. It's all about finding that consistency. That has been the word to sum up their split. But right now they are just consistently winning fights.
And the question is, right, Skimmy, there's a reset comp for Vertex, but at this point, realistically, who do you actually kill? You have a Wit's End completed on this Schönfire, you have the Lance Respite available. Ari's opted for the Merc Treads plus Banshee's Veil combo. We already talked about the Zhonya's.
Yeah.
So realistically, it only is Aphelios, and that's if everyone else is asleep at the wheel. And Schönfire, certainly a player who does not look asleep at all.
Certainly not. Has been the focus the last 2 major fights and has been denied of his ultimate ability, but hasn't really changed the tune of this game overall. What an hit claim before. The second setup going in again. They found inhibitor number 2, working for the third, and guaranteeing that this tutorial-style League of Legends is coming through to full effect.
Skimmy, there's got to be a flank. You can't just run into this straight 5v5. There's a ward on mid lane very deep, a couple wards that Lissandra could potentially TP to. They're going to take this 5v5 head on.
Schoenfighter what they're looking for right now. Schoenfighter one that might actually remove Vicen earlier. Self-cast ultimate denying everything. Tomasino overextending himself as a result. Nexus turret #1 down at 50%. Void Seeker connecting, but it doesn't do enough damage even with the amount of AP that Dante has right now. Gudo in trouble. He's the one you need to reset on. Milanovic goes that super early, doesn't hit him, but they turn their attention elsewhere. Tomasino, the one they'll go for instead. They'll find a second, they'll get themselves a third, and they will say this is a little bit too easy, a little bit too free. There is the ace. There is back-to-back 25-minute victories. And look, it took them 5 weeks, but PGG got their victory.
It took them 5 weeks. Every journey begins with a single step. They haven't been able to find a 2-0 up until today, but this is where it really counts. Playoffs in sight, looking to contest. We are not a 5th place team, and that is exactly what PGG showed here today.
We don't deserve to be here, and we know we hold ourselves far more accountable to a higher standard. And you can see, as we pan through the different players, the celebrations going around, the sort of jubilation, I suppose almost a sense of relief in a way. Yes,
yeah.
Vindicative in a way of, we've done it. We've got that win. It's dusted off now. Yes, there's only one more game to look forward to, but look, we've found a recipe for success. We've tried something different. It's worked out beautifully here, and on to the next one. On to closing out this series in a victorious fashion now.
They finally did it. Oh my god. Finally. So PGG, after 5 weeks, like you said, they step it up. Do you feel like there was anything that changed in their gameplay to let them actually take a win? Or was it that they finally found a key to consistency?
They just played like, I can't describe it, they just played like they knew they had to win, and they played like, okay, this is actually the time where we need to step up and realize the players that we are. All across the board, Chippy's, especially someone who just came into his own, started playing to the level that we've seen from him in the past. He did not look washed this game one bit.
No, if there was one place that I would start my conversation with, it has to be top lane. It's the audacity to second pick in draft, just slam a Jax and say, there's nothing you can do to stop me, and I do not care what your champion pool is. Tomasino plays Cannon, you know? Like, we have seen that, we know that it exists, but doesn't care. Chippy's locks it in. Chippy's also just wins his lane casually. He's able to play the minions, able to play the trades out really nicely, and Pentanet find themselves in this advantageous position where their top lane is able to come into these team fights and have a significant impact and significant influence on the outcome. And that just unleashes Schoenfire and Dongi to play more aggressive, right? It is still utility, it is still carry, is still playing towards their side lanes. That, like, the identity of the team hasn't been completely reinvented. But when the average skill goes up, if a rising tide lifts all boats, you know, Chippy's is holding it down. Appy is holding it down in a big way for this team. And like those extra members, you know, the auxiliary members of the squad just stepped up so big.
Oh, man. And you can't let a Jax do that, man. Second pick Jax, absolutely crushing the enemy team. There's so much that came out from PGG that there is to highlight. I mean, letting Jax get ahead, what consequences did Vertex have because of that? And then the other members of PGG, what else did they contribute?
I mean, the other members of Pentanet contributed absolutely everything required to get a win. The only mistakes that they truly made were a couple of pickoffs onto Schoenfire. An ultimate from Schoenfire that was used to save himself, but also saved his opponents, right? Like, if that's the biggest mistake you're making in a game, then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, all things considered, they did pretty well for themselves. And, I mean, what I will say for the Vertex side of the coin, because there's not a whole lot to take from a series that's 2 25-minute losses, is the second game did look a lot more improved from them as a whole.
Yep.
Top, while it was still lost, was a bit more stable. There was times you look up there and he was controlling the wave a little bit better than in game number 1, which was a wash. I think the Lissandra team fighting from Human was also really solid, and for him it was kind of a trust fall. Like, you watch this game back, he was making plays, and if his team was winning, he would have looked like a superstar, you know, but his team was losing, so it looked like he was just trying to hold everything together. So I think there's still a lot of positives for the side of Vertex that they could take away.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is a squad that we haven't seen play together on the stage yet. 2 core members of this squad changed today.
And that's it, Human as well. I mean, we finally got a chance to witness the changes 2 games in a row. Maybe a little bit more notable this time. Human, what about Gudo?
I think Gudo was okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, he just kind of facilitated. He's always been a facilitator. It's hard to look good when your team is in that losing situation. But the person that I want to talk about more than anything else, Oscar, is still Appy.
Yep.
The reason I want to talk about Appy is, first and foremost, when Rel gets picked, there is answers. And I'm so glad that we get to see these answers come through. And then in the replay that I want to talk about, he is simply just a walking highlight reel, right?
yeah.
This guy, I think it was like 3 times in this game, but this is the first one that stands to my mind, right? These fights that constantly happen, he's able to find his targets, and specifically target selection from him as well, right? Able to keep the rest of his team alive at every single point. This is that one really tragic moment where Schönfire contributes to the success of Vertex, but during this, there's the 3-man headbutt pulverizers, right? There is the aggression, the angles, the recognition of how he wants to play this out. There was an earlier dive that was even better. There's a fight at the red buff that hits 4 people with a flash pulverize. I think he's just shown exactly what it means to be a good, engaged support player, and how someone who only played Nami like the first time that we saw him for like 5 weeks straight is also just really good on the rail and the Alistar himself.
And someone who's been incredibly underrated, at least personally, we always talk about, like you said, Yosan, Arkia, Aladoric, but Appy, you have to remember he's played with Violet for so long.
Yep.
There's a reason they're one of the best bot lanes in the league, and certainly coming to his own in this engaged meta.
Oh, man, and seeing Alistar being played well, it makes me happy, man. I love Alistar. Either way, we've got some people to talk about the impact of Alistar and RP that game. Schönfire on the line. Hey, mate.
Hello, hello.
How you going? Congratulations on Pentanet's first successful orchestra. As Rusty described you earlier, you're the conductor of the whole show. And that's kind of what I want to start with. I mean, we talk about you being such a proficient player and being a leader for your team. How much do you feel like you fit into that responsibility of being the shot caller, leading the team around?
Sometimes I don't feel that way. Like, sometimes when I fail to do my job, yeah, sometimes I don't feel that way. But I would say today I made some adaptations from our Bliss series that has helped us secure a fast 2-0 today. So I am at least content with that part.
Can you speak towards what those adaptations are, Schön, for what has actually changed from that series?
Oh, it's mainly about like the mental side of things. I think in the Bliss series I was really tunneled on mechanics instead of half and half. Now I feel like I'm like more calm in team fights, even though I messed up multiple times this game. I think that was a little disrespectful on my part, but I focus, I guess, this game more on, like you guys were talking about, making sure the map state is really good instead of just we fight every time we can fight.
Right, so finding that balance between the mechanics and the decisions and the shot calling with the team. Makes a lot of sense. I want to ask you as well, Schön, because we heard from Violet recently about like the learnings that he's had from his PCS scrims and what that means for the LCO games. But he was specifically saying things like the micro in laning, right? Stuff that's not going to influence how you play. So I want to know what exactly it is that you get in the jungle from your scrims against these other regions.
I mean, if you saw Split 1, we were playing exactly what was good in scrims in PCS, which is like Draven, Caitlyn, bot. So if you just take that as an example, I think that PCS just play, they know how to play the game from level 1 to 18 rather than OS. It's kind of like farm, handshake, then fight Dragon or fight Herald. So I think PCS have just got the game unlocked from like 1 to 6 on how to snowball the game.
And speaking of, again, experience playing against other teams, you've had the privilege of playing against Chiefs and Bliss and even tying against the Chiefs. Out of those two, which now they seem to hold themselves as such a high pedestal as those top 2 teams, who do you think takes the cake?
Right now, honestly, Bliss is definitely on the top. I think Chiefs and us are like 50-50, depends on... I mean, it's so close that I wouldn't even call one over the other, because I feel like even though we should have 2-0 Chiefs, we didn't, so they obviously played well. So yeah, I think it's close.
And you guys just locked in for playoffs as well, so congratulations. That's a big one to write down. Last thing I want to hear from you, all right, just take a bit of visualization. Think back to your childhood. You're sitting in your bed, and your parents are lying down, and they're reading you a bedtime story, all right? What was the one that you're the most excited for, that you ask your mom to read all the time? Your favorite bedtime story?
Parents are always working, man. They ain't got time for that. that's the real life situation.
Oh man, maybe like a children's book
honestly,
you enjoyed reading in class or something? Your teacher read to you?
Naruto. If a manga, it would probably be a manga. It wouldn't be a child story.
Hey, I'm a big fan of Naruto as well. I get that.
Valid.
I get that.
Yeah, that's valid.
All right, thanks, Sherd. Enjoy reading Naruto. Hopefully that's how you celebrate your win after this. Congratulations, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Far out. That's PGG. They're through.
I love that guy so much. Like, his growth as a player from going to being like competitively banned at Worlds to coming in and being a leader like this for the team and just being so mellow and so like that leader figure like we really talked about. It's incredible to see.
And he kind of, like he mentioned in that last game, he seems to be a lot more tough on himself now. He said he didn't feel like he was being a good leader or slotting into those positions in the last couple of games, especially against Bliss. Tunnel vision. And if he can't see past it, then how can he lead the team? So it's good to see that he's kind of growing out of that and recognizing his own mistakes. And maybe he's our Dare MVP. I mean, you guys, who are you going to give it to? It's got to be RP for me. I mean,
I'm support biased. I can't
it's got to be.
argue
It's
with
got to
him.
be, bro.
It'll be Chippies.
It's going to be Chippies.
It's got to be
Yep.
Chippies.
But RP's he won the game for Chippies.
What
Appy
does
is the
Twitch chat
king.
like more?
Twitch chat saw someone hard winning lane top
Yep.
lane.
They saw blind pick Jack, so they will pick.
Oh, we did it! Let's go! Justice for support.
We don't understand Twitch chat anymore.
No.
We
No,
don't
we
understand.
don't.
How
Twitch
do they
chat's
work?
changed.
How do they work?
Twitch chat has changed for the better.
They appreciate
know.
supports now.
I can't believe that
What a
happened.
world we live in.
Twitch chat with the real supporters all along.
The classic performance of Mappy here, holding one of the highest KPs in the league even before today. Now 84% in this entire series is a phenomenal test of just how good you are. 3 deaths on 2 engaged supports, racking up the assist, racking up multi-man CC setups on repeat, making it just effortless for the rest of the team to showcase their ability and shine and get themselves that perfect 2-0.
Oh, and he was just so good that game, man. Alistair, Appy, there's not much more I can ask for. Maybe a meal. We've got Menuolic meal time coming up next after the break. We'll see you guys then.
Low enough to bait you in and low enough to ult to safety.
TP. Good Chippies.
First Dragon, here we go. Chippies has got a target in mind. That is a triple counter-strike. That's beautiful. Making a double knock-up as well. Can they find their kill? The Dragon's been taken by Vertex. Guru's not here. He's flashed away. Chippies has found 2. He wants more, and his team will certainly find just that. Dongy hunting for a double as well.